deck.
Yeah, that deck's pretty sweet.
Do you have the Is It Chronarch?
I don't know. This actually isn't my deck.
Oh.
Alright.
It doesn't matter what you think of it.
What are life points right now?
14 and 20.
Something smells good, yo.
Oh no. Kory. Oh, I can't hear anything anymore.
I'm at 11, by the way.
Yo, you're at 11? Alright. Alright, so Sarah, I'm going to be shooting you
Sure. So Alex,
some info.
Hey, Kory.
Yo,
I got somebody to do it if you want,
what
I
do you
think.
do? Who do you have in mind?
Timmy Turner.
Okay, I don't know him, but I guess you can vouch for him?
Yeah, I mean, his name is Timmy Turner. He's a fairy master. I don't know if you read any of his stuff on Reddit or whatever, but he has a blog about Tron.
Oh, gotcha.
It's called the Fairly Odd Blog.
That's all I have.
Yeah.
Get it? Because Fairly Odd? Because, you know, Timmy Turner. Fairies.
Okay, well we can try him out for a bit.
Yeah.
Let's see how he does.
If he's bad, I'll kick him off after the round.
Or we can always add more people too.
Sure.
Do you have his Skype info?
Yeah, I do have his Skype info.
Okay, you should be able to add him to the call.
Yep. I will add people.
I'm Pauper. Like, if you do anything wrong, like, what are you gonna do? Literal nothing.
Play a 4/4 in Infinity?
Just like, I explained it to you too. Like, it actually doesn't matter. You just lose.
I got one last Saturday, and then top 4 the
He
next
says after winning game 1 by corrupting me.
Kory, you're not going tomorrow, are you?
No. I got too much stuff to do around the house, unfortunately.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah, adult stuff.
Better than adult stuff for childhood hearts.
I am. That's why I've been putting off working on my car and cleaning up around the house.
Why would you want to do either of those things?
I don't want to, but I have to work on my car. And I guess I don't have to clean up the house, but it's been a mess for way too long.
That's reasonable. He's loading up his Skype right now, so. Kory, can you share the screen?
Oh yeah, thank you. Sure. For reminding me, because I forgot to do that last time.
It's like 2 red. Whenever a card does your graveyard, all of your red spells and chances.
I've seen this line before.
I can hear the sigh from over here.
It's like a better pass replay. And someone was like, except for the part where it says every card that goes to your graveyard comes out. It's like, I think that weird growth like kind of strange. But I mean, if you're playing that ruler, it's fine. Yeah. Okay. My favorite thing about Evan Irwin is that when Karma Boy came out, he was like, this card's pretty bad, but it's this Planeswalker. And I was like, this card's great. I'm going to buy all of these.
I can hear Billy in the background.
Yep, he's here.
Tell Billy I said hi.
Billy. Oh, he gave me the weight finger.
Oh wow, what a jerk.
What a jerk. Billy says hi. Or God, Rudy says hi.
Hi,
To you.
Rudy.
Here, you want to talk to him?
Not really. I'm kind of busy.
Okay, that's fair.
Wow.
Oh, Pauper? You guys are awful. I hate everything about this.
Don't worry, so does Jason. I'm at 18.
I'm gonna bullet this kid through going.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think he got pinged.
I'm at 1-2. I'm at 18.
I've yet to hear Jameson get loud. He's been pretty fair. Yeah, everybody just tuning in. We're just getting warmed up. First round's gonna start at 9.
I'm excited for some legacy battles.
Bring it up enough, I think you do.
I never bring it up.
That's still pretty frequent.
Although, it's really unfortunate that I have to play Modern tomorrow, but, you know, it is what it is. I do like my deck for tomorrow, at least.
What, you're not excited to play some Modern? Some hot, interactive, and intelligent Modern?
Yeah, I fully expect to have a very good time when my opponent plays a turn 1 Eldrazi Mimic, and then a turn 2 Thought-Knot Seer, and then a turn 3 Reality Smasher. It'll be a lot of fun. Just be dead on turn 3, but you know, it's cool.
Yeah, this Eldrazi deck is really wacky. I'm curious if it's gonna like get good in Legacy or not.
All you gotta do is ask.
Sure.
Although, at least I have a combination of Restoration Angel and Kiki Jiki in my deck.
Enjoy yourself a little bit less funny, please.
My nipples are also unreasonable.
Dude, how do you not just play the cards in your hand? It's easy. You see, you just and then you.
No, nipples, not areola.
Well, I think the best way to do that is actually to drop your cards on the table. You drop your cards on the table and you ask your opponent if they'd like to concede. You just do that every turn until they concede.
I like it. You could. There's a couple of times I only say it against like opponents that actually piss me off, but I'll just play really grindy, like punishing fire them and just like correctly, trigger everything and announce it, like adjust my life points, and I'll just like look at him and say like you can concede at any time you like.
I will start. CM Terp, you're absolutely right. Evro tried to play a terrible deck. He tried to play Kiki Chord, and he got blown out by a reasonable Eldrazi deck.
Can I draw a land? Can I make a land drop, please?
I am. Yeah, what you should do is, if I was playing, you could just play Burn, and on turn 1 when you lava spike your opponent, you go, would you like to concede? And then they're like, no. And you're like, okay, untap. Goblin Guide, would you like to concede? Alright. Vulture, would you like to concede? Just every turn, would you like to concede? Until they're dead.
What is the token? What is the token? Are those? Oh, I see.
For C5. Sure.
Wow. I mean, you only. Wow. The salt. Do we need a? Well, what's the? We're increasing the salt levels on chat. We're at salt level 6. Yeah. Hey Nate, what's going on, dude? How you doing? Doing all right. Yeah, man. Likewise.
All he did was cast lightning bolts a bunch of times. This deck's unfair. This format's unfair. Lightning bolt's unfair.
Ban lightning
Ban
bolt.
lightning bolt in every format.
Brainstorm is legal, right?
Yes, it is. And it's bad.
Not free.
No, you can play it all in one turn. It's only one.
Yeah, you can. Delver does that.
You can definitely find some shuffle effects.
Delver does it. Delver's the only one that does it.
I'm here.
Confirmed for salt. That's really good.
Yeah, that's a new feature. I just apparently on MTG bot you can add your own commands. So we have exclamation point salt increases the salt levels. It only goes up. Exclamation point punt adds to the punt counter. And then there's also a new one that we started Wednesday night when Patrick Simba was wrong a billion times and Harlan requested a wrong counter. So we now have a wrong counter. That's exclamation point wrong counter for when the commentators are just actually wrong.
That's pretty mean. I'm gonna be there's gonna be a lot of wrong counters.
Yeah, so I'm waiting to see what other commands we can think of.
Timmy, just join this call.
Oh, is this Pauper?
Yes.
Yeah, we're just playing some warm-up games. What's going on,
Okay.
Tim?
Not much. Trying to not to die from sickness.
Oh, that's good. I mean, that's good that you're not dying.
I'm also,
You're here, so you're obviously winning.
define winning.
Hanging out with me
On the right side of the ground.
Legacy.
I'm not dead
Yes.
See? Also a bonus. I'd say hanging out with me is probably like the most important aspect. But you know, the not dying
I guess you
thing's
could
not
say
bad.
hanging out with you is better than not dying, Rudy.
yet. Well, I need to put my deck together. That's what I need to do.
Yeah, well, you got a few minutes before this starts. I'll be right back. I'm gonna
Yeah,
go
that's
get some
cool.
ice cream.
Man, I wish I had ice cream.
What are life points? 1, 2.
I've taken two from this and game 2, so I'm still 20. I'm at 19.
Very fair.
I have no idea.
The card
This-
advantage.
Why are we talking about... Sarah, did you want me to die? That's not very nice.
What the hell does this deck play?
Which deck?
This blue-red Eldrazi deck.
Timmy, don't say things like that.
Why?
That confused me greatly. I was looking at the board and then looking at my screen and then looking at the board again and was like, what? And then it clicked. Huh? Yeah, we're good.
Hi, Sarah. How's it going?
Yep. I think we're good on salt levels for now, Lord. Let's wait to see where we end up at the end of the night. Yeah, we've been getting some requests to cover some modern events. The only thing
we
is
should
like,
definitely do that.
yeah, we should definitely do it. I'm just not. I don't know anything about it, and I'm not very crazy about the format either. So my heart would not be in it, but I would. If people want us to do it, we can definitely do it.
I would commentate Modern because that means I wouldn't have to play Modern.
Modern's like the one format I know, so I could actually help with that.
See, you obviously messed up, Kory. You should have talked to me. We could have commentated tomorrow.
Hot dog. I really do have too much stuff I've been putting off that I have to do this weekend.
No, that makes sense. I like getting work done. I sure.
Wait, is Caffrey doing commentation tomorrow?
No.
Oh, okay.
Oh, so we do have. You're gaining 5? Okay. So that puts you to 22. We have issues.
Sarah, I have lots of good points.
We have issues doing commentary at the Baltimore Convention Center because their Wi-Fi isn't very good and it's expensive and there's lots of other issues. So we're not ready to do commentary there yet.
I thought at the FCC just banned you paying for Wi-Fi at convention centers.
At which convention center?
Any of them.
Any of them. I thought the FCC just banned that.
Yeah. They did something along those lines.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know enough about that to comment on that.
Okay.
Because last I saw, it was like rape-tastically expensive.
Okay. Knowing convention centers, they probably found some loophole.
Yeah, they're little scumbags.
It's probably like free basic internet that's horrendous, but you have to pay extra for good internet.
See you around Lord
Probably.
of Holes. Yeah,
Stick this file aggregator. Oh man, I'm so in.
Jameson. Sarah says spoof dee-doo. I probably didn't even say that right.
Close enough, Kory. Close enough.
I'll be right back.
We both take 2 damage.
You got it.
Go to 10. Yep.
What is your life total?
I'm at 10.
Sweet.
I have you at 19.
Trigger. Deck's not shit. Trigger.
Magic players, we have your pairings for round 1.
I have 2 edicts across. Oh my god.
Sick rips.
Kill a guy.
Yeah. Billy. Oh.
If you want to throw the list on the stream,
Okay. Yeah, well, we can do a deck tag then.
Sounds good.
Or do you have like a written list?
not written.
Okay. I mean, we can just do a deck tag then.
For deck tech on what?
Is that what you want?
I just noticed this is ripped sleeve on the small
Do you want a deck tag or? Okay.
or rough wire.
Because I mean, I'm definitely interested. Billy, how many rounds is it?
4.
Okay.
4 rounds tonight. That's a lot of rounds.
Match will be Daniel Harrison and Paul Lynch. That's not us. We have Chris Hopper and Tom.
Yeah.
And Tommy. Jameson and Don. Michael and Jason.
Okay, yeah, that's cool.
It's half his, half mine. So.
Yeah. We could have you guys like both sitting down, and I'll just like ask you guys questions. Something.
Hal. Who's playing against? Oh no. What? I said who am I playing against? You and Daniel.
All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and mute the mic. I'm gonna unmute it to answer your guys' questions as you get them, and to let you guys know stuff.
Allison works for us. Is there any way you can maybe send us sideboards or like give us an idea?
No, maybe.
Maybe we'll see. Anyway,
Oh, sorry, I had my mic muted. I can try to get an idea,
okay.
but it's very difficult for me to type anything up and run the stream at the same time. I'll see what I can do though.
I have a question. Would it be possible to like snap a picture?
Possible.
It might be easier.
I'm not too sure. I gotta update the graphics real quick, and then I'll see what I can do.
Works
So
for us.
are we live right now?
We've been live.
Oh, all right.
All right, guys. Thanks for tuning in to Snapcasters. We are streaming live from HQ Games. I believe they are located in Ellicott City, Maryland. Right now, we're just setting up for our first round. Thanks for joining us for another night of Legacy.
Is this Legacy FNM?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah, this is really awesome. One of the things that I really like that Wizards made a change to is they are letting you kind of run FNM pretty much however you like. So now you can have a cube FNM, two-headed giant FNM, and all those things actually sound kind of cool.
Wait, you can have sanctioned cube?
Yeah.
I did not know. I realized you could do like EDH and stuff like that. I didn't realize you could do actual just like sanctioned cube.
I believe you mean Commander.
See, I grew up back in the old days when this format just originally came out, and Rafellos wasn't banned, and I just played Rafellos because that card was busted.
All right, and looks like we're going to have Daniel Harrison versus Paul Lynch. Now, when we see a name like Paul Lynch, a lot of people might remember him from a long time ago. He used to do really well on the SCG circuit and in local tournaments, and he used to play a lot of stuff like Merfolk. He moved on to card decks like Miracles. Recently, he's played Thopter decks, and right now he's playing a lot of Deathblade. To his left, Daniel Harrison looks like he's playing Mud, and I believe I saw an Eldrazi Temple.
Is it Eldrazi? Oh man, if this is Eldrazi
Yes.
Mud, I am.
It looks like Daniel Harrison actually has Eldrazi in his deck. I believe I saw an Endless one. And Paul potentially is playing pretty much the same thing.
So we have a Eldrazi mirror match going on.
Potentially. It depends on what kind of Eldrazi deck Paul put together. There's a chance that he might be playing something like 12 Post, but he also might be playing something like Mud. I'm certainly interested to see what kind of deck he has going here. And this is really interesting because although Wastelands are generally used in these kind of decks just to kind of for utility more so than anything else, and also the fact that they're colorless, but every once in a while you do get a lot of value out of them, and if they are playing a pseudo Mud mirror match, they are certainly going to get a lot of value out of their Wastelands here.
I'd be interested to see if they actually do play Wasteland, because I was working on building this deck, and you have like, you're already at like 16 lands with all the 2-drop lands. So I mean, I guess it's easy to just put in 4 Wasteland and call it a day, because then you're up to 20. Because you run 4 Eye, 4 Temple, 4 City, 4 Ancient Tomb.
Yeah, those are all potential. I don't know if we're on the 4, but yeah, it looks here. Daniel Harrison has a City of Traders, Eldrazi Temple, Jitte, a Chalice of the Void, a Warping Whale, and a Trinisphere. And that's what I can see in his hand, and it looks pretty fine. Paul here is going to go ahead and take back. He's not very happy with his hand, so he's going to go and look for a better 6. But what's interesting here is I'm not sure who's on the play, but
I will mute that. My bad.
wow.
Right?
I'm not sure who's on the play here, but Daniel might be keeping his hand thinking that Paul's playing something reasonably fair like Deathblade, where Chalice and Trinisphere is going to be really good. I'm really interested to see how Paul's going to go ahead and keep here. It looks like this 6 is not good enough. He's going to go down to 5.
Ugh. Like, I played a lot of Mud, and just mulligan with the... Is that 5 or 6? Like, is that 5? Okay.
He's going to 5.
Oh, whipping out the trade binder.
Paul's going to keep. He's going to scry. He likes what he sees on top. And now we'll get into the action.
It looks like Paul's on the play.
And it looks like Paul's just deciding how he wants to go ahead and play out this first turn. Looks like Daniel Harrison is just adding a card to his sideboard that he forgot to put in.
Oh, regular Ariel.
Generally something we should try and do before the match starts, but it looks like Paul just might have went
just
ahead
a
and...
quick heads up. I got the names mixed up. Sorry, guys.
Alright, Eldrazi Temple.
Alright.
So you're going to go City Trinisphere?
Alright, it looks like Paul's on the left here, and
Okay.
Harrison's on the right. That makes a little more sense here.
Oh, is it turn 2
Mario,
here?
it turns out. It looks like he's going to play a turn 1 Chalice here for 1.
This is turn 2, Rudy.
Turn 2. Correction.
Which is still pretty good.
Wasteland from Daniel. Daniel's going to go ahead and draw. City of Traders is the play.
Matter Shaper? Oh,
Oh, looks like he's got Trinisphere on the board. Paul's going to go ahead. He's going to draw. Looks like he has Endless One and a Reality Smasher, and also looks like he has Warping Whale. City of Traders into Reality Smasher here, and Daniel's going to have to take 5.
This looks like it might end up being a quick game, because I think I saw a second Reality Smasher in his hand, or was I mistaken? I thought I saw the front card in his hand was another Reality Smasher.
Yeah, it definitely looked like one. It also looked like he had a metalwork here. It looked like Daniel Harrison is on just closer traditional mud.
Alright, so if I'm Paul, I probably Warping Whale the Metalworker and then just beat for 5.
Well, it depends on if we draw another land or not. If we draw another land, it's entirely possible to Warping Whale and cast Reality Smasher.
That's true.
Well, it looks like Paul's just going to pay 3 mana to Warping Whale the Metalworker and go ahead and pass.
He paid too much mana for that Warping Whale.
No, I believe there's a Trinisphere on the board.
Yeah, you're right. I'm wrong. It's going to happen a lot.
Wrong count for Timmy. 1. All right, and let's see. Daniel here knows he's behind on the board. Let's see what he comes up with on this turn. He's going to float some mana with City Traders, play another Wasteland, and he's going to play a Bottled Cloister here. Now, if people aren't familiar with Bottled Cloister, and that's not unreasonable to be.
Oh, and he's just dead. Look at that. Well, Bottled Cloister, I believe it's at the end of your turn, you exile your hand, and beginning of your upkeep, you get your hand back +1 card?
Yes. What happens is at the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, you get to exile all of your cards from hand face down. At the beginning of your upkeep, you return all cards you own exiled back to your hand, and then you get to draw a card. It looks like Paul took advantage of Daniel's mulligan with a couple Reality Smashers to put him away. Now, what I'm really interested here is, as we go to the sideboard, is what do you think these players are going to board in?
If I'm Paul, like, I don't really want Chalice anymore. Because like Chalice on 1 doesn't really do anything. Chalice on 2s is kind of slow. Because you don't like. So I'm not sure.
So we can kind of agree that Chalice is not going to be very good here.
Yes.
So since Chalice isn't going to be too great, that's definitely a card that we're going to see boarding out. Now, without really knowing what's in his sideboard, we did see a Pithy Needle in his sideboard. That's certainly something that might come in. If he's Paul's pretty familiar with Legacy, we can assume that something like Pithy Needle might come in. It's going to be fine against cards like Metalworker. It's also going to be pretty...
It does not work against Metalworker, Rudy.
Oh, because it's a mana ability.
Yeah, you're thinking of Phyrexian Revoker. If he has Phyrexian Invoker, then it's great.
But it does work on Kuldotha Forge Master.
It does work on Forge Master.
Which might be an issue. Or potentially Lightning Greaves as well.
Yeah.
Depending on what version...
I'm trying to see what's in Daniel's hand sideboard. I saw a Tasso's Web. I think.
My guess here is it looked like he has an Ensnaring Bridge. It looks like he has an All Is Dust, a Sabo's Web, a Phyrexian Revoker. What do we think that he's going to be bringing in here? It also looks like he might have a Duplicant.
Yes, Duplicant. It looks like he's bringing in a Trading Post.
Oh, interesting. Looks like he's just going to try and turn in some of his weaker cards into stronger stuff. No, it actually looks like he's boarding in 2 Phyrexian Revokers and an Ensnaring Bridge in the Trading Post.
I like Ensnaring Bridge. I'm not sure about... What is Revoker name that's relevant?
I'm not sure what he believes that Paul might be playing, but he believes that potentially that Revoker might come in just in case. Daniel is potentially playing cards of his own like Ugin.
That's possible.
Which is going to be a really good way for him to kill Paul, especially under Ensnaring Bridge. But it's also possible that he believes that Paul might have cards like that Phyrexian Revoker is going to be able to stop here. Perhaps he believes that perhaps he's correctly identified that Paul has Umezawa's Jitte in his deck, and Phyrexian Revoker is going to be pretty good at keeping that down.
I really like the Jitte with Matter Shaper. I love that lot, like that interaction.
Does
Paul have the main board or is it side?
Paul have what in the main deck?
Jitte.
It looked like
Or
he
we-
had it in his opening hand. So I'm going to go ahead and say that he probably has a couple copies in his main deck.
Well, I might be buying some Jittes tomorrow because I am in love with this deck.
For sure. What also might be potential that Dan might have in his deck is something like Steel Hellkite. And Steel Hellkite's going to be really good in a Mud Mirror match because you get to destroy a bunch of non-land permanents with Steel Hellkite's ability.
So what's the best way to fight the Eldrazi deck, would you say?
I'm going to have to say that cards like Wasteland are going to be pretty good in this position, and even moving forward past that, I'd say just trying to go bigger than them, preventing them from really attacking efficiently. So cards like Wormcoil Engine might be really solid here, depending on what Paul has, minus a card like Reality Smasher or something like Kuldotha Forge Master, which is just a 3/5, is going to be really good at blocking.
And if Daniel kept in the combo, he can just like gain infinite life, and then Paul just can't win the game then.
Right, if he has Staff of Domination in his deck, that's true.
That's the one thing like I said before, I played a lot of Mud, and I've loved combo. I hated the combo, but you kind of just have to play it because it's just that good.
It's also possible that Paul brought in Pithy Needle because it's also fine against that.
That's true.
Looks like Paul has a Matter Shaper, a Thought-Knot Seer, an Endless One, and an Eye of Ugin. So he looks like he's pretty happy with his hand for the most part.
You mean Daniel? Paul's taking mulligan.
Oh, so he is. Daniel looks like he's pretty happy here. Paul looked like he was kind of happy with his hand. Looked like he was mulling over it, but it looks like Eye of Ugin might have been his only land. And that's certainly a problem with this kind of Eldrazi deck, because you have a lot of lands that don't really do anything on their own. So something like Wasteland can really set them back really far.
Wasteland is a very powerful Magic card.
It's also possible that Daniel has something like Crucible of Worlds, either in his sideboard or in his main deck, which is going to be really good if he has it against this kind of strategy.
All right, Daniel's on the Cloud Post plan.
Yep, Daniel's going to play a tap Cloud Post and pass on to Paul.
Paul has Warping Whale, Eye of Ugin, Reality Smasher, Dismember, Port. I can't see what those last two cards are.
I believe he has an Endless One.
Oh yeah, that's an endless one in the front.
Yeah. Paul
Warping-
here's just deciding how he wants to go ahead and play out these next couple of turns. Paul being really familiar with Legacy, he's going to know how much mana that Daniel Harrison can make in the next few turns. Alright. Paul's going to go ahead and lead off with an Eye of Ugin. Looks like he has an Eldrazi Mimic.
Love that play.
Oh, gotta love Eldrazi Mimic here. Eldrazi Mimic's pretty powerful, and he's debating whether or not he wants to go ahead and play anything else. Nope, Paul's satisfied. He's just going to go ahead and pass.
So Paul basically just took the modern deck that's been doing well at the Pro Tour and added better cards into it to make a Legacy deck.
Correct.
What was it? Phyrexian Revoker.
Looks like he's going to play a Cavern of Souls into a Phyrexian Revoker.
Very curious what he named, but I guess we'll find that out eventually.
Kory should... looks like Cavern was on Construct. Kory should hopefully let us know in just a second since he is there.
So I found out today, after watching the Pro Tour, that Eye of Ugin plus Endless One actually works.
Yes.
Because I did not realize that. So for those of you who don't know how this works, is you cast Endless One, declare X is 4, and the Eye of Ugin will make it cost 2 less, and then you just have to pay 2.
Right. So Paul's going to go ahead and play Ancient Tomb. He's going to take 2 life, use Eye of Ugin plus the Ancient Tomb to essentially generate 4 mana for Endless One. And it looks like Revoker is naming Worldbreaker. If you guys are unfamiliar with Worldbreaker, Worldbreaker is a now standard all-star in the green-red ramp deck. It's a 6 to the green for a 5/7, and when it comes into play, you get to exile target land, artifact, or enchantment. Daniel Harrison has a pretty strong turn here. He's going to play a Grim Monolith, and then he's going to cast the Chalice for 1. Now that's really interesting that Daniel left the chalices in. What do you think
Yeah.
he's scared of out of Paul's deck?
I have no idea what chalice someone actually hits for Paul.
Possibly,
Against,
possibly he assumed that Paul, or correctly assumed that Paul has something like Pithy Needle in his sideboard.
that's possible, but like I'm not sure what Pithing Needle does in this situation.
Might be that Daniel's setting in to play a longer game. And if he is setting in to play a longer game, that is something that he's going to have to be concerned about down the road.
Well, he did tap the Grip Monolith, so it makes me assume that next turn he's going to be playing something pretty big. Because next turn he can generate 3, 4, 5. He has 7 mana, and if he draws a Louse, he could have 8 mana, which is enough for Ugin or Sundering Titan.
Right. It also might be possible that he played Chalice because his plan is to go Ensnaring Bridge Ugin.
And then Paul can't stop the Ugin.
Right.
Alright, so Paul beats in for 6.
Daniel's going to block here with Phyrexian Revoker. Eldrazi Mimic's going to get in for 2.
Drop him to 14. Is that a Titan's Presence in his hand, or...?
Looks like Paul has a Cavern and a City of Traders in his hand.
I think that's a Spatial Contortion.
That's possible. So it looks like Paul's going to go ahead and play his own Phyrexian Revoker. He's going to name Grim Monolith, shutting Dan's mana ramp off. And looks like Paul's going to play a Cavern of his own. And let's see what Daniel comes up with this turn.
So shutting off Grim Monolith leaves Daniel with 4, possibly 5, possibly 6 mana.
Yeah,
And then what he draws, and it looks like he's not playing land, so...
Alright, looks like he's going to play Lodestone Golem here. Lodestone Golem, although not that great here, is going to be really good at blocking.
And Daniel does not have another land drop.
Alright, my guess is Dan was kind of sitting on that Grim Monolith hoping to really play a bigger card and not being able to because of Paul's Revoker on it.
Yeah. So if I'm Paul, and what I saw was Spatial Contortion, if he contortions, he can be in for 8, dropping Daniel to 6. Is that a Drowner of Hope? No, it's Spatial Contortion, okay.
You're right.
Alright, drop. Daniel drops to 6, and that's it. Alright.
Alright, let's see what Dan draws here. Gonna go ahead and draw a card for his turn. Dan's thinking about what he wants to do with the City of Traders. How much mana can he activate this turn? Looks like he does have another Grim Monolith, but unfortunately this Grim Monolith is not going to be very good in the face of Phyrexian Revoker. I think Dan might not have remembered that there's this Phyrexian Revoker here. And at 6, looks like Daniel's just going to be dead on board to an attack.
So...
Yeah, and it looks like that's it. He's going to go ahead and he's going to pack it in.
Well, Cloister, I can't see what the last 2 cards are.
I think a Worm Coil Engine. I think they're both Worm Coils.
Yeah, I think so. But
Yep, they're both Worm Coil Engines.
that would have been a very nice way to
Yeah,
stabilize.
so it looks like that's what Dan was kind of setting up for. He was kind of hoping for another land like Cloud Post so he could cast his Worm Coil Engines, or he was kind of hoping that Phyrexian Revoker wasn't going to shut him off. Now, what was really interesting there is both of these decks, even though Paul's deck worked much better than Daniel's deck in those 2 games, what we really saw is that there's a lot of awkward hands with these mud decks, and without any real way to gain card advantage, Daniel was playing cards like Bottled Cloister, but because he doesn't have a real good answer to something like Phyrexian Revoker, cards like Grim Monolith were a little too hard to rely on.
Do you think Mud should start playing cards like Spatial Contortion and Warping Whale?
I think cards like that are certainly really good. Like,
if you could only choose one of them to play, which one would you choose?
I think you'd probably be more interested in a card like Warping Whale, being able to prevent cards like Thoughtseize when you don't draw a Chalice, or potentially even something like Terminus, which is going to be really good at blowing you out. Could be all you really need. The fact that also at the end of turn you can make a 1/1 that you can untap and ramp into one of your larger cards makes it a little easier for me to kind of like want to play that style of card.
I was all in on Warping Wheel in Modern right before the Twin ban, and I'm still kind of in love with the card. Like even in Legacy, like it counters Show and Tell. I don't know how prevalent Show and Tell is right now.
Ooh, this is certainly a good point.
Like, what else does it count? It counters random things like Hymn to Turok.
Right. Cards that are basically trying to disrupt you on multiple levels, and just having Warping Whale gives you a lot of different options. It also kills cards like Stoneforge Mystic.
Yep.
Not that that's played very often, but it can be. It kills cards like Vendilion Click, which might be difficult for you to deal with. There are just a multitude of cards that, like Talia or Spirit of the Labyrinth or Flicker Wisp, that are sometimes difficult to deal with just in general, especially if your opponent starts to get really far ahead. So Warping Whale kind of gives you this nice little break in between.
Also kills Deathrite Shaman.
Also kills Deathrite Shaman, which is sometimes very, very difficult. Could the Eldrazi deck be a good budget Legacy deck? Potentially.
Probably not.
I mean, I think like the two most like City of Traders and Ancient Tomb are like kind of expensive, but like also so is Ayavugan.
Ayavugan's now $1 bajillion.
Right.
Chalice of the Void is now $1 bajillion, but you can not run Chalice.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're running, me personally, I would want to run Chalice in that deck. I mean, reality, like the newer Eldrazi's are pretty cheap. Endless One, I believe, is still $1, maybe $2 now because of the Pro Tour. Trinisphere is a couple bucks randomly.
Right, for the most part, like as far as Legacy deck goes, it's certainly one that has a lower barrier of entry.
Yes, it is on the cheaper end of Legacy decks.
All right, and what we have here is we're going to have a really old school matchup. We have Chris Hawker playing Miracles against Tom Debaugh playing Deathblade. Now, Deathblade is certainly a card that, or certainly a deck that has really bounced in and out of favor over the past few years. It definitely has a lot of power attached to it, and but sometimes in the right metagame, it's very good, and in the wrong metagame, it's really hard to get work. But it looks here like Tom's playing a Deathblade list that's.
It looks like Jeskai.
It looks like he might actually just be playing Jeskai. I believe I saw Pyroblast in it.
Yeah, I saw Tundra Island Pyroblast. So that leads me to believe it is a Jeskai Stoneforge deck.
We'll get some confirmation from Kory.
So Chris looks like he's on a mulligan to 6.
Right. One of the really great parts about a deck like Miracles is it's pretty good at rebuilding against any mulligan. Cards like Ponder, Brainstorm, Sensei's Divining Top allow you to gain a lot of virtual advantages that allow you to keep up even on a mulligan to 5 or 6.
So do you think there's anything in Legacy right now that needs to be banned or should be banned? Since you mentioned Top, and Top is one of the cards I think is one of the more unfair cards in Legacy, but Legacy is also a format where you get to play all the unfair cards.
I mean, I don't think there's a reason to ban anything right now. Like, even though like Miracles is like the tied for first and second, like as far as best decks goes, I don't think there's any reason to. I actually think these got switched around again. I believe that part of the reason that we didn't realize what they were is because they're switched around. I think Kory realized it as well. It looks like Chris Hawker's actually on your right playing Miracles, and that's why we see a Pyroblast. Tom's going to go ahead and he's going to use a Stoneforge Mystic. He's going to go ahead and get a Batter Skull.
Almost the perfect. I mean, there's not much better in Legacy than turn to Stoneforge.
It's certainly a really good feeling, and it looks like Hawker here, he went ahead and he drew a Wear and Tear, and Wear and Tear is going to be great here. If Tom doesn't really have a good answer for it, Hawker's going to be able to pull away and kill a Batter Skull in response to a Stoneforge putting it in. It also
Wear
looks
Tear
like
main deck? Is that?
no, this is a sideboarded game.
Oh, okay, they're game 2. That makes more sense.
All right. Tom here has a main phase Brainstorm here, and I believe Hawker's debating on fetching a Volcanic Island and casting a Pyroblast on it. I guess a concern here for doing that would be if Tom has something like Wasteland. Wasteland can really put Hawker back pretty far. Didn't look like he had any other lands in his hand, so I'm really interested to see if Tom has anything here to punish him.
Looks like Force of Will, or
he has a Force Will and a Batter Skull in his hand for sure. Let's see what else. It looks like he also has a Pithing Needle in his hand, a Liliana the Veil, and a Snapcaster Mage.
Those are all very good magical cards.
Yeah, a simple attack for 1 here, and it looks like Tom's just going to have to pass without a land. Hawker's going to get an untap step and draw. Looks like he also has a Tundra in hand, so he's certainly not far behind by any means. Tom's going to go ahead and draw here. And looks like he drew a Floodistran for the turn. Probably a little late, but not too awful at this point in time. Let's see how he wants to go ahead and progress his turn here. Part of the problem with trying to activate something like Stoneforge Mystic now is if your opponent has a Terminus on top of their deck or a Vendilion Click, it might be a problem for you. Hawker's going to go ahead and draw. Looks like he drew a Brainstorm. He's going to go ahead and fire that off right now. It looks like he drew a Jace.
There's a Terminus.
He's going to be able to put a Terminus back. All right, going to go ahead. He also drew a Ponder and a Vendilion Click. All really good cards here. Unfortunately, no other land.
And there's a Venser as well.
Looks like Hawker's going to go ahead and put back a Venser, and he's going to put back a Terminus here.
So Hawker appears to be Brainstorm blocked right now.
At least for a turn. Hawker knows that next turn his opponent's going to put in a Batter Skull, and with a counterspell in hand, there's no reason to try and use our Wear and Tear to destroy it now. I think Hawker's pretty fine with going ahead and letting the Batter Skull and the Stoneforge Mystic attack him. Looks like he's going to go ahead and try to Wear now. I was wrong. If Tom, this is going to be real dangerous for him though. If Tom has a Spell Pierce or Force of Will, this is going to be pretty dangerous for Hawker, even with the Terminus on top of his library.
Yeah, and Tom has a Force of Will, and it just counters the Wear Tear.
He's going to go ahead and he's going to get to attack for 5. It looks like it looks like Tom pitched a Snapcaster Mage to his Force of Will.
So if I'm Tom, I know the shields are down, so I probably use this time to cast for Liliana the Veil.
Yeah, certainly going to take this time to try and get some sort of advantage. Well, it can probably safely assume that Hawker has some sort of removal spell on top of his deck. He brainstormed, took a little while. It looked like he was looking what other card he wanted to put back with a potential Terminus. So I think Tom here is going to go ahead and I agree with you. Tom's going to go ahead and take his time right here, and he's going to try to cast Liliana the Veil, and I'm going to see if Hawker has any answers to it.
So if Hawker has Terminus on top of this deck, there's 2 plays I see right now. Hawker has Venser on top of his deck and just draws and says go. or he has.
It looks like he has Venser in his hand and Jace.
Okay.
It looks like he's deciding what he wants to go ahead and discard. Liliana's going to go up. Now, it looks like he's going to go ahead and discard a Jace the Mind Sculptor. That's what it looks like.
Still tagging on it.
He has a Brainstorm in his hand and a Snapcaster Mage. I don't really think that's anything he wants to get rid of. He's going to go ahead and discard that Brainstorm, though. Tom's going to discard a Ponder. Get that out of there.
All right, there's a Terminus.
This is the start. We're going to start. This is the start of a long control for Chris. Chris is going to go ahead and push creatures down to the bottom. And looks like he has a Ponder in his hand. He's going to use that Ponder to try to set up his next couple of turns. He did find a land, a Plow, and a Vendilion Click. Now, all these cards are going to be pretty solid in their own right here. But even if Hawker decides to go ahead and draw that Plains here, he has to try and figure out what is he going to discard to Liliana.
So if I'm Hawker, you obviously take the Plains and play it, which leaves you with Venser, Counterspell Jace, it looks like, in his hand. So you probably just pitch the Counterspell and untap and play Jace. That would be my plan.
All those seem pretty good. One of the things we certainly have to go ahead and be wary of is that Liliana is going to be at 5 next turn.
That is very true.
And if Hawker decides to tap out and play Jace, Liliana's going to go up to 6. And if he doesn't have anything for it that turn, either a Venser or a Click, he's going to be in a ton of trouble. And a Pithy Needle here from Tom. My guess is Sensei's Divining Top probably going to be... Yep, Sensei's Divining Top is exactly what he's going to go ahead and name. So Chris is not going to be able to gain any advantage here.
All right, so Chris, he probably has to... Oh, he does what I was going to do, play Jace.
He's going to go ahead, play Jace. He's going to Brainstorm, try and gain some sort of advantage here. It doesn't look like Tom has any cards in his hand, which is going to be really interesting. So Tom's in a kind of predicament here. He can bounce the Batterskull back to his hand, and then if he draws a land, he can recast it. But if he doesn't draw a land to recast Batterskull, it's going to be very difficult to try and push that Liliana up to 6. It looks like he's going to do it anyway. He's going to go, all right, we're going to draw a land here, and we're going to cast Batterskull and try to gain a lot of value. And it looks like Tom might have bricked on the land here.
Yeah, if I had drawn that land, I would slam it on the table and play Batterskull.
This is what I got. Looks like he's going to go ahead and discard.
Is that a Source of Plowshares? That's a disenchant.
It's a disenchant.
That is the... What was that, 5th edition disenchant? That is old school disenchant.
That is very, very old disenchant. If that is what it is, I believe that's what it is. Yeah, it is. It is certainly a disenchant.
It's definitely the old fat guy with the scepter, and it's just crumbling to dust in his hand. Kind of wish we could we had the ability to show cards, because I love that art. It's probably my favorite art at Disenchant. Actually, I'm not even sure all the arts. I'm gonna have to do a quick gatherer.
It's not the 5th edition one. Let's see what Chris.
Oh, it might be the Masks one.
Shuffle end of turn. It looks like Chris here is going to go ahead. I think Bedlam might be right. I think it might be from Masks. Hawker here has Venser. He's going to use Venser to bounce Liliana back to Tom's hand. He knows that Tom doesn't have an answer in his hand. He knows he just has Batterskull. And this is the point where Hawker's really going to start to pull ahead. And this is certainly the problem with a deck like Deathblade against Miracles, is even though that you're kind of like this weird Stoneforge control deck, you're certainly closer to kind of a mid-range deck. And without really... there's so many with so many weird answers in your hand and so many cards. As hard as it is for certain opponents to really have a ton of answers, it's also very hard for you to come up with the right threats. Looks like Tom's going to play Liliana and force Hawker to sacrifice Venser. If Hawker were to draw Caracas here, that would be really good for him, being able to rebuy on Venser every turn. It would really prevent Tom from ever getting any advantages or ever getting ahead.
So at what point do you think Hawker starts plussing Jace?
I think Hawker's going to wait until he kind of gains control of this game. Part of the thing with Jace is certainly in this really weird spot where obviously you want to, you know you're a slow deck playing Miracles. You know you want to get the game down. But if you spend too much time plussing on your Jace and you don't really find any answers, you're going to find yourself in a lot of trouble really quickly. While your opponent's setting up and getting everything together, if you don't have the answers for what they could have, you could fall, you could just lose your Jace, and then you're really far behind. You spend a lot of time plussing, and you really gain no value out of it. With a Pithy Needle on Sensei's Divining Top, we can't even try to make multiple uses out of all the card advantage we could have.
Did Hawker... He had a counterbounce in his hand at one point. Did he pitch it back to...
No, he had a counterspell, I believe.
Oh, okay. I thought... Because I was a little confused why. I thought there was a counterbalance, but apparently I'm just wrong. So, wrong count at 2.
It looks like Hawker has a Snapcaster Mage and a Jace in his hand. Oh, and Tom has Meddling Mage, and this is one of the really good cards out of a Stoneforge sideboard, especially the blue-white Stoneforge list. Meddling Mage is just going to be really good. It's going to prevent Hawker from using cards like Terminus or potentially Pyroblast or anything like along those lines, and he's going to be able to gain. And it looks like Meddling Mage went ahead and named Terminus. Tom's going to play a Deathrite Shaman, and he's going to force Hawker to have some answers. Let's see what Hawker's going to do here during the end step. It looks like he's going to cast a Snapcaster Mage.
Target Plow, get rid of the Meddling Mage? Yep.
Oh,
because I believe
actually going to get rid of Deathrite Shaman.
Oh, I thought that was a Terminus on top of his deck. Maybe...
There is a Terminus on top of his deck, but I don't think there's a reason for him to really use it. And also a click here from Hawker, and this is one of the most interesting parts about Miracles decks, is just in general, if the ones that have more creatures can kind of turn into a corner really quickly. Tom decided he didn't want to use his Liliana because he wanted to keep his Batterskull, and now he's just going to go ahead and lose any value he might have had. And this is the problem with bouncing something like Batterskull back to your hand.
Yeah, now you just kind of wish it was in play, because this turn you could just put it on your Meddling Mage. I'm sure it wouldn't actually happen. I'm sure Hawker has some Plow or something to get rid of
Tom
it.
still only has 4 lands, but with Batterskull field and not in his hand, he has a lot of time to do stuff. And a counterbalance here from Hawker is going to start tightening this noose, just get it closer and closer. With Jace on top of his deck, he knows what he put on top, and he put back a Brainstorm because he was more concerned of Tom trying to draw out of it, find a source of Plowshares, find a draw spell, and right here, Hawker's really just going to try to take over the game here.
This looks like the point where Miracles turns from the I'm doing nothing to the I'm doing everything deck.
And it looks like Hawker's going to go ahead and get aggressive here. He's going to bounce Meddling Mage and start getting in for 5 every turn. The thing with bouncing Batterskull is now we know that he has Batterskull and a Meddling Mage in hand, and with all the cards that we have, we can either protect ourselves from either of those answers. With Jace on the field and another Jace in hand, Hawker's probably content with this 5-turn clock.
So, do you think Hawker was thought far enough ahead to put a 2 on top of his deck?
Well, let's see if he has an answer for this 5. He's going to put the counterbalance trigger on the stack. Now, it looks like he's just going to go ahead and let it resolve. That's pretty interesting.
Snapcaster Plow?
No, he has Wear Tear in his yard, so now he's going to get all the use out of everything he has. I like Hawker's pace of play here. He's making use out of all the spells in his hand, all the spells in his graveyard. Even though he knows that what his opponent has in his hand, he's trying to make the best use of his answers. And that's part of the great part about Jace is you spend a lot of time brainstorming, and you kind of find all the answers you need.
Ponder. So just get rid of the bad cards you put on top. Terminus, click, land. Yep.
Looks like we're going to go ahead and shuffle. We don't really need any of those.
So if you're Hawker, what are you looking for here?
I think we're looking for potentially a second Wear and Tear, potentially a Caracas, potentially a Blood Moon.
Blood Moon would end this game pretty quickly. What about probably also maybe a counterspell of some type?
Counterspell would be good. Force of Will would be good. Looks like Hawker's just going to play the top here and see if he can find an answer.
So Tom is on a 2-turn clock right now.
Correct. Looks like he's going to go ahead and play Meddling Mage. Looks like with the counterbalance trigger on the stack, looks like Hawker might be casting Brainstorm to look for a 2.
Well, I think there's a Snapcaster's hand, or did he already cast that?
No, he cast the Snapcaster to cast Wear and Tear.
So his hand looks like Brainstorm. Land.
Island, Plains, and a Plow. Well, I guess Plow's not the worst. Doesn't actually change the clock at all. I wonder what Tom's going to name here.
If I'm Tom, at this point,
Probably name Swords to Plowshares.
yeah, like Terminus hurts Hawker more than it hurts him. Sword's probably the best name.
Yeah,
Okay.
my guess is, looks like that's not what he named, and he's going to get blown out by this. And since Tom's only going to go up to 13, he's still on a 2-turn clock.
Yeah, so Hawker will untap. Hawker just
Looks
needs-
like Meddling Mage named Force of Will.
Okay.
Seems more like Tom is just kind of giving up at this point.
Yeah, Tom has kind of accepted his fate, and it's just playing out the last few turns just to see if Hawker will mess up in any way.
And he knows his out here is for Hawker to go ahead and mess up, and we'll see. Looks like he's going to go ahead and fetch here during his upkeep.
Windmill Slam Damnation. One time.
I think we want Supreme Verdict here.
Well, what we really want is Crumble to Dust.
I don't know why you'd want Crumble to Dust from
Or
Tom's
not
side.
not Crumble to Dust. All is Dust. I was thinking of the wrong Dust card.
All his Dust would be good if he had 2 more mana.
Yeah.
Supreme Verdict? Didn't look like it.
It doesn't look like it's like. It's a Trop in play. He could be Abrupt Decay. That's a lot of mana. 3 mana. Is it a Jace of his own?
Yeah. Looks like that's just a Jace
Yeah.
of his own. Chris is going to cast a Brainstorm here, or I think he's looking for his own 4-drop, and he did. He found it.
Wow.
Lock him out. What a well-played game from Chris Hawker there.
So lucky.
And this was part of the problem with Miracle's decks, or Deathblade against Miracles just in general, is even if you do get to a good start, Miracles just has so many good cards. So the longer the game goes, the better off they're going to be. You really need a quick finish, but the problem is so many of your cards are just so weak to Terminus and Plow that it's really hard to apply a lot of pressure there. And with no discard, maybe Tom has it in his deck, but he didn't draw it, so it's going to be really hard for him to put too much pressure on Chris Hawker.
Yeah, unfortunately, like Stoneforge Mystic is a great card. I just unfortunately don't think it's a very good card in Legacy right now.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for me.
Do you have 4 Japanese ones?
Of course.
I had 4 Chinese ones, and then they spiked to $1 bajillion, so I sold them. And then built Sneak and Show. And
I only when I won the Open with Stoneforge Mystics, I only had 3 Japanese ones and 1 English one because I couldn't find a 4th.
Wow, what a savage! I mean, I'll probably play 3 Japanese Thought Knot Seers tomorrow, 1 foil one, and foil English. So, 'cause I would rather show off the pimp cards I opened in my Oath boxes than play cards that match. Because I don't care about like someone inquisitioning me and then I just play the wrong land or the wrong card. Like I didn't play different art Tron lands. I don't care.
You're just a bad person. Look, TW Dom. Yeah, if you run True Name Nemesis, Stoneforge Mystic isn't bad, but True Name by itself it isn't really great right now. It's pretty solid against a deck like Lance, because Lance doesn't really have an answer to True Name, and True Name is like a pretty fast clock. So if you have True Name plus Disruption, you're in a pretty good spot. But against Miracles, they have cards like Council's Judgment, cards like Terminus. If a lot of the builds are moving towards something like the Predict builds that are running around, True Name Nemesis is going to be really good because there's not a lot of 3-drops in that deck. So they're going to have to really rely on their counter spells, Force Will, and Terminus to beat it. So there's a potential that True Name Nemesis might start being good again, but I'm not sure that Stoneforge package is good enough in the deck to make make Stoneforge playable in a True Name deck.
If I played True Name Nemesis, I played Merfolk. That's just me.
Yeah. Merfolk's definitely one of those really interesting archetypes because it sometimes when it's on it's so good, but when it is bad, it is very, very bad.
They've started playing Chalice of the Void in the main deck to try to like shore up some of these bad matchups, like Delvers. Like Delver decks are kind of a toss up, but like if you're playing against Rug Delver, and they just out tempo you. It is the worst feeling in the world.
Yeah, it certainly feels pretty bad, but I think Chalice might have certainly helped revitalize the deck a little bit, and I think with the way everyone's going, cards like Daze and Force of Will, backed up by Chalice and True Name. I mean, even putting Counterbalance into play doesn't necessarily mean that you've locked out anybody. And, I mean, you have to have multiple fetch lands, and they can just port your fetch lands too, and if you let that happen, they get to waste you, and if you fetch, they then get to use their Rishon imports even more effectively. I think you're thinking about this like on a very base level, and you're kind of missing a lot of the nuances that Port has. Port can, like, port a fetch land. And it looks like we're going to have a Jeskai Delver version versus another Eldrazi deck. These Eldrazi decks are getting really popular.
Well, with how well they did at the Pro Tour, it's pretty easy to port that deck into Legacy.
For sure, and I think it definitely gets a lot better in Legacy too when you have access to even more more soul lands.
Yeah, like if you look at the suspected modern deck, it's you basically like the Ghost Courts become wastelands, the man lands become just more 2-drop lands, and then if you want, the Simian Spirit guys can become Mox Diamonds. I'm not sure if you're actually running Mox Diamonds, but
yeah, I don't think the deck really needs Mox Diamond.
Probably not. It's probably like Mox Diamond it could probably just be something better. Because they're like also because Mox Diamond can't tap for colorless, which is actually relevant in the deck.
Definitely makes a lot of sense.
So I'm trying to think if there's a way the Eldrazi deck can beat Blood Moon.
Yes, by having Waste in their deck.
Yeah, but it's not modern, so you don't have Plow or you don't have Ghost Quarter. So if they just kill your, like, if they just wasteland you or sword you, you're kind of just like have to draw the natural waste. So I guess you probably just play like 1 to 2 just to like try to beat the Blood Moon.
Yeah, you certainly something that's shockingly kind of necessary. Blood Moon takes you off of all of your colorless sources, and it looks like Michael here is playing an Eldrazi deck.
Man of my heart. I suspect. All right, he leads with Ivugan. Mimics.
Yeah, it looks like he's just gonna go ahead and take his time to set up his board and what he has here.
Is it Thought-Knot Seer? It is. Thought-Knot Seer, for those of you who have not been paying attention to Oath of Gatewatch, when it comes into play, you look at your opponent's hand and you exile a card. And then when it leaves play, your opponent draws a card. So it's kind of like Sloven doing Click. It's a weird version of Click. I'm not sure how.
It's kind of like a backwards click more so than anything else.
Yeah.
It looks like Nate's going to go ahead and stifle the ability here, which is going to be,
Oof.
which is actually really great here because now his Swords to Plowshares on the Thought-Knots here turns his 4 mana card into draw a card for me. You gain 4 life and I draw a card. Nate went ahead and wastelanded an Eye of Ugin here.
I played a Chalice on 1, which
Yeah.
is pretty good against most of the Delver decks, I hear.
Yeah, I actually think that Nate made a mistake by wasting the Eye of Ugin, since Eldrazi Temple can actually tap 4 mana besides just for Eldrazi. That I think it's what he needed to do.
Yeah.
It looks like Michael played a Chalice on 1. Nate's going to go ahead and bolt him in response, and then get attacked for 4 down to a 16. And a basic Plains out of Nate's really interesting here.
Another good point. Another thing is now all of his Swords to Plowshares are dead. So stifling the Thought Knot now is kind of bad.
Well, it's kind of just a 1-for-1 at this point. He's no longer going to be able to gain any value off of Thought-Knots here unless he gets to trade off. But it's not unreasonable. Without losing any cards in his hand, Nate's kind of at parity. Michael's going to go ahead and play a City of Traders.
And if I'm Michael, I try to... Is that a Warping Whale?
It looks like it.
It is.
Yeah. Warping Whale's going to go ahead and take care of Stoneforge Mystic. Michael's going to go ahead and bash in for 4. Right into the red zone. He's going to take Nate right down to 12.
I wonder if Michael's... Nope, no follow-up play, looks like. I mean, don't get me wrong, Warping Whale is a great card.
Yeah, Warping Whale's surprisingly really good here. And Phyrexian Revoker here from Michael. I wonder what he's going to name. My guess is going to go ahead and be Batterskull or Umezawa's Jitte. I think those are going to be the... It's also possible that Stoneforge Mystic is a great name. Yep, and he's going to go ahead and name Stoneforge Mystic here so Nate can't get any value out of future Stoneforge Mystics.
That's what I would have named. At this point of the game, you're very far ahead. The only way you lose, I think, from Michael's point of view, is he plays Stoneforge Mystic right here and can get Batterskull play next turn.
Mm-hmm. And that isn't even necessarily a winning recipe for Nate.
No, that's just enough to... That's step 1 of the how do I not lose this game plan.
Right.
A Sword of Fire and Ice.
All right, and Nate's going to go ahead and cast Sword of Fire and Ice here, which looks kind of weak on this board.
Yeah. I'm not a huge fan of that, but I guess if it's no better play, then...
I assumed at 3 mana, Nate was going to go ahead and cast a True Name Nemesis.
That's what I thought it was going to be, which I thought would have been great on this board. But no, it's just...
On another Phyrexian Revoker, it's going to probably name Sword of Fire and Ice. And Nate here, I think, without anything else and only a 4th land, it looks like he's good. We're going to be moving on to game 2.
Yep, this Eldrazi deck looks really good.
Yeah, it has just a lot of really powerful cards here. I'm interested to see what changes here. It looks like Nate has Council's Judgment, 2 Meddling Mage. It looks like he has a Disenchant in his sideboard.
I think I saw it.
It looks like he has at least 2 Wear and Tears as well.
I think I also saw Engineered Explosives, which I'm not sure I would bring in this matchup, but it's definitely a good card to have in a 3-color deck.
Michael has Ratchet Bomb, Pithy Needle in the sideboard. Looks like Nate has 3 Wear and Tears in his sideboard.
I guess when your deck kind of loses a Chalice on 1, you kind of want to get rid of it if it resolves.
It's certainly true. I'm interested to see what else he has here, and I wonder how Michael's going to board as well. A lot of his deck is really well set up to already be good against Nate, so I'm interested to see how he's going to go ahead and board.
If I was Michael, I would probably just bring in... Did you see how many Ratchet Bombs they had? Was it 2?
I believe he had 2 Ratchet Bombs.
I would probably just bring in the Ratchet Bombs, because if Nate goes turn 1... Delver and then it flips, you kind of want something to you don't I don't think the Eldrazi deck has a way to deal with a flip Delver right away.
It's possible that the best boarding that he can do is just a very light one.
Yeah. Like, if he had some number of Spatial Contortions or Ratchet Bombs, those are what I would bring in this matchup in post board.
Yeah, I'm really interested to see because it looks like Michael's actually boarding a decent amount of cards. It looks like he's boarding 4 or 5 here. It depends on what he really has in his sideboard here that he's going to really be able to make use out of.
What is the most cards you've ever boarded in against a deck?
I boarded in like 8 to 10 cards against Storm when I was playing lands,
Okay.
something like that. So I boarded in like almost every card.
I think my record is 11. And it was me playing Tron, and I was playing against Splinter Twin. And I boarded in, I think it was 4. Oh, it was like 4 Threatening Volley, 4 Nature's Claims, 2 Spell Skites, and I think an Ulamog. It was a lot of cards.
Yeah, certainly sounds like it.
I don't think I won that game. I'm pretty sure I overboarded, but that was
Probably reasonable. And
But
I'm certainly interested to see here, but I feel like these Eldrazi decks are generally just going to be pretty good in a lot of the fair matchups.
Yeah.
It doesn't really have an ability to grind very effectively unless he has a card like Endbringer in his deck. But otherwise, I'm really interested to see how he's going to go ahead and approach this matchup here.
I would personally want like a one of Ulamog or one of Kozilek just as a I've flooded out and I have Ivug in play. I want something good to search up of Ivug.
Yeah, it certainly makes sense. I think in this case, I think as good as Ulamog might be, I think Kozilek might be the better one to start off with.
Kozilek might be better in Legacy just because you could just pitch all your cards to a uncounterable counterspell.
Right. Certainly the problem with how this Eldrazi deck is built is if he doesn't have a Chalice for 1, he's not going to be able to counter any 1-drops. The problem with Kozilek is there aren't too many cards you have that are going to discard to counter. So realistically, it's just a 12/12 that can't be blocked very effectively that draws you up to 7 cards.
Yeah, that's one problem with the Mud and Eldrazi deck. Like, you're just kind of playing with what you got. You don't have access to Brainstorm or Ponder, so you just have to live off top of your deck.
Wow, it looks like Nate might have kept a really shaky hand. It looks like he just played a Wasteland and passed. Michael went ahead and wasted him. He's going to play an Island and then ship it back to Mike. Let's see what Michael has here.
Well, he definitely has a City of Traders, but unless there's a payoff card like a Chalice, there's not really a reason to play City of Traders in this situation. Urborg.
All right, it's just going to be an Urborg and a pass. Let's see what Nate's got here. It looks like he's going to draw a Wasteland. He's going to go ahead and just waste Michael now. That might be a really aggressive Wasteland here. And this is one of the interesting parts about Wasteland is knowing when to use it. Now, if Nate here doesn't have really any more lands in his hand, he might be in a lot of trouble getting rid of that Wasteland. Wasteland might have been good to cast True Name Nemesis or even Batterskull. Looks like Mike's just going to go ahead, play an Ancient Tomb, and ship it right back. Looks like Nate went ahead and he boarded in Meddling Mage, so I'm really interested to see what he's going to go ahead and name here.
If I was Nate and I had Meddling Mage, I would probably name Thought Not Seer in this situation. But he's just going to drop the Stoneforge and probably get Batterskull. Yep. And ship a turn back.
Yeah, certainly my guess as well. I like naming Thought Not Seer here a lot.
I think it's the best 4-drop that the deck can play in this situation. Do you think? I feel like Michael's deck is just not playing Endless One. He probably just didn't think about that as a possible play. And there's Thoughtless here. Yep. And that's probably gonna end up taking that Batter Skull. Or it's just gonna eat this Force of Will.
All right, Force of Will from Nate pitching True Name Nemesis is gonna send that Thought Knot packing. I think Mike's in an interesting spot. I don't think there's any reason to play Endless One because we know if we just wait a little while, we can certainly get more. Interesting. Well, Nate's going to go ahead here and play Meddling Mage instead of putting a Batter Skull into play.
I'm not sure I like that, but I guess... I guess
if you're playing Name Thought Knots here, it's probably okay.
Yeah. My only names here would be either Thought Knots here or Reality Smasher.
Looks like he named Chalice the Void, leaving himself right open to a Thought Knots here.
I guess he's just under the assumption that Michael just doesn't have a follow-up Thought Knots here.
Certainly a reasonable percentage-wise play to make, but I think not playing around it might be a mistake. Looks like Mike has a Wasteland here, and he's debating on whether or not he wants to waste Nate off of white.
I would totally waste that white source. Like, I think I saw a Reality Shaper or a Battery Shaper in his head as well. So like you waste the white source, just tap the Ancient Tube, and play Reality Shaper or Battery Shaper.
Yeah, I like playing Battery Shaper here. We can also Phyrexian Revoker. My guess here is Phyrexian Revoker is going to name Stoneforge Mystic. What is really interesting is if he did play Battery Shaper, he could have actually also cast Endless One for 3.
Is Endless One in his deck? I'm not sure. I just assumed it wasn't, but it might.
My guess is it is. There's a chance that it might not be. Nate's going to have to draw here. He's going to draw a True Name Nemesis, pretty much a blank here, and he's going to have to go ahead and brainstorm. What's really interesting is that we know that Nate has a Plains in his deck, and he didn't fetch for a Plains with his Flooded Strand. He made sure to take care to have this island, but he didn't want to play around Wasteland here, and it looks like he just kind of locked himself in. An attack for 1 here, also pretty interesting. He's going to try and keep Michael down. Michael's going to take 4 here off of 2 Ancient Tombs. He's going to cast a Trinisphere.
All right. Up or not, or yes, or no?
It looks like he did not mean to cast a Trinisphere. Looks like he meant to cast Battery Shaper first and then Trinisphere.
I don't think there's a difference in how you do that, but
I agree. I don't think there is either. All right, it looks like he's going to go ahead and pass here.
Well, Nate's Brainstorm lock, so I think he just draws and says go.
Yeah, I certainly agree with you here. And this is all kind of going back to Nate not putting this Batter Skull into play. If he just put the Batter Skull into play on turn 2, he would just at least, at the very minimum, just have a Batter Skull in play and gaining life and having a really good blocker on defense.
Yeah. But, Nate's, or Michael's taking another 4 damage here. Like, he's dropping to 6. He's at a very low amount right now.
Looks like that's an Endless One, I believe.
That's an Endless One for 8, it looks like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's certainly a spot where if we just had a Plains here in our hand, we fetch for a Plains, this Wasteland wouldn't have been so devastating. I think this is part of the problem with a deck like this is if you're not going to fetch around to play around Wasteland with a weak mana base, it's going to be really devastating sometimes. Michael here's going to go ahead and go down to 4. He's going to Warping Wail the Stoneforge Mystic.
And then
we're going to attack for 8. We're going to start getting busy. Attack with Battery Shaper and Endless One. We're going to go ahead and attack for 11. It looks like Nate just might take it here and go down to 8.
I think you kind of have to. You kind of have to hope the top card of your land is... All right, it's a land.
It is a land, but with Trinisphere out, we're still going to need another land.
Yeah, so he just has to hope that the top card of his deck is a land so that he can play True Name Nemesis. Let's see. Okay.
Even then, True Name Nemesis is not going to be very good here. We're at 11. We're going to take 5 down to 6. Nate's just going to be at 6. And
that's
nature land here, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
Yeah, because everything costs 3.
Looks like he's just gonna try to bolt him multiple times with this one bolt, and that's not gonna work. And Michael's gonna go ahead and take this match from Nate.
Yeah, I thought the Delver decks were going to be a bad matchup from the Eldrazi deck, but it kind of just steamrolled over it. It not to do many bad puns here, but it kind of just smashed it.
It definitely had a lot of advantage in the creatures to go ahead and push through.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this was also the Jeskai Delver deck, which is historically more of a slower controlling version of Delver. If he was on like maybe blue red Delver or like maybe a Grixis Delver, his matchup could have been different.
Could have been a little different. I think knowing that you're playing a slower deck, I think it would have been really important to kind of just make sure you fetch for basics here. And it looks like Michael went ahead and boarded out his Dismembers and
Spatial Contortion?
yeah, I'm going to guess that that's what that might be. I think Spatial Contortion here is certainly pretty sweet. And we saw Michael use Warping Whale here pretty effectively. Stoneforge Mystic was kind of tough for him to deal with, but having Warping Whale and Phyrexian Revoker in his deck really prevented Nate from gaining any advantage with it.
I think Warping Whale is it's pretty good in Modern. It's not really great in Legacy or in Standard, but it seems great in Legacy. It just kills. A lot of the Legacy decks are just like try to outvalue you with like cheap 1/2 power creatures, like Deathblade Shaman or Snapcaster Mage, and Warping Wheel just takes care of them.
Yeah, agreed. Kory's going to go ahead and look for another match for us. We'll see if we have anything. We have about 30 minutes left in the round, and we'll see what we can get going for you. And one of the things that I really do like about just Delver in general is sometimes you just have a lot of hands that are really hard to deal with, and I think part of the biggest issue with a deck like Jeskai Delver is you have a lot of moving pieces that really need to come together, where you don't need all of your pieces in other Delver decks.
I could personally never play a Delver deck. Delver Secrets is always Fugitive Wizard for me. It never flips. Even like when I brainstorm and put something on top, I'll end up fetching or doing something stupid. I just stop flipping my Delver.
Yeah, Delver's definitely an interesting card to play with and very powerful.
Alright, looks like we have some new competitors coming up here.
Welcome, new competitors. A new challenger has arrived.
So, those look like some miracle cards on the right. I saw Force of Will. I think I saw Aaron Mace and Jason the Mind Sculptor. So, that's enough to make me think it's miracles.
Yeah, definitely see a Force of Will in his hand. And we'll see what game we're in and where we're going. I see an Underground Sea.
Oh, is that Underground Sea?
A Polluted Delta. Yeah, and the top here is going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and guess it. It looks like we have Chris Hawker again playing Miracles against Luke Allison playing Reanimator. And I think Luke might be playing a kind of interesting version. I believe I saw an Is It Charm in his hand.
Ooh, that's a spicy one. I wonder if he's playing Baby Jace. Oh, Eddie Druid is a charm for turn. And leads with Duress.
Ooh, and a Duress here is going to be pretty good here. Hawker's hand is, wow, very nicely set up. He has a Jace, he has a Force of Will, he has a Rest in Peace, and what looks like a Red Elemental Blast.
So if I'm Luke, I am probably just taking the Rest in Peace. I think that's what you have to do. Or he might be considering. Hawker might be considering forcing. Yeah, and he does. He really wants that Rest in Peace in play. It looks like.
Yeah, and it's definitely a tough spot there. If Luke has something like Daze that can really take him out. Hawker's going to go ahead here, and he's just going to jam this Rest in Peace into play. But let's see if Luke has any answers to this. There's a multitude of answers that Reanimator could have. First of which is something like Show and Tell's a really good way to get around a card like Rest in Peace.
Don't they also run some number of abrupt decays usually?
Generally, especially against decks like Miracles, which are generally hard matchups for him. Yeah, certainly going to be an issue down the road.
Tundra into go. Classic Miracles play. Just draw, play land, say go. Why play spells on your own turn when you can do it on your opponent's turn?
Right, and there's not really any reason for Hawker to make any sudden movements. He has top, so he gets to react. Luke, end of turn, is going to go ahead and cast Is It Charm. My guess is he's going to draw 2 and discard 2, as that's the only mode for him to choose.
Discards 2 lands. Seems to be a little bit land heavy. Alright, he drew. What was that? Reanimate?
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
So he discarded 2 lands and then did not play a 3rd land for turn. Interesting. Alright, he drew the Tropical Island, which was step 1, but he really doesn't... Okay, put back Delta Tropical, it looks like.
Right. Yeah. Looks like he's going to go ahead and play Polluted Delta.
And probably just pass the turn.
Yeah, it looks like he has Reanimate, Careful Study, Exhume. He's really going to need to find an answer for that Rest in Peace. Looks like Hawker has a Snapcaster Mage, kind of dead in his hand, and a Jace. Looks like Luke found a Duress here. Duress here is going to be really good for him. I don't know how many Tropical Islands that Luke plays, but and a Gristlebrand. So he discarded Gristlebrand, Tropical Island. Really interesting stuff here. What's also interesting to note, if that's his only Tropical Island, he might not be able to cast Abrupt Decay if that's in his deck.
So he could just be on the I'm gonna just play the slow game and cast my Gristlebrand for 8 mana.
Certainly not going to make it that far, especially with Vendilion Click and Snapcaster Line in the wait.
Alright, so if I'm Chris, I probably take the Is It Charm?
I think we're going to have to take the Is It Charm, knowing that Is It Charm is going to be able to get rid of our Vendilion Click and a real pressure here.
Yeah.
It looks like he's just not going to take anything. He doesn't want Luke to draw into anything reasonable, and I think he's fine trading the Click, it looks like. He said, go ahead, if you want to kill my Click, that's fine. It doesn't look like you have anything going on.
That is a ballsy play, if I must say so myself. What was that? What did he draw? Some blue card.
Looked like it might have been a Brainstorm or a Careful Study. Chain of Vapor, I think it might have been. Or Flusterstorm. Hold on. It is Flusterstorm.
Yeah, it's Flusterstorm.
It's kind of hard to see with him shuffling everything around, but it looks like he has an Is It Charm and a Flusterstorm here. End of turn, Hawker's going to go ahead and spin his top. He's going to see Flooded Strand, Swords to Plowshares, Swords to Plowshares. There's definitely an interesting tension between keeping Terminus and Swords to Plowshares in your deck.
Yeah, he really did not want to lose to a reanimated creature, it looks like. You being the more experienced player with Miracles, do you keep in Swords against Reanimator?
I'm certainly a fan of keeping in some number of Swords and some number of Terminus. There are definitely cards that are sometimes difficult to deal with, like Tidespout Tyrant or Grave Titan, so you need some answers to those cards. An early Grave Titan is pretty unbeatable without any Swords to Plowshares or the like in your deck. Gristlebrand, sometimes, even though this is very rare, sometimes an Entomb into a Reanimate for a Reanimator player can only result in one draw step, so that's one draw 7, and if they don't happen to draw one of their Force of Wills, that can be real damaging to them.
I mean, I've played Gristlebrand in multiple formats, and I've drawn 14 cards a number of times and just whiffed. It is not a good feeling.
It's certainly a possibility. Hapless Researcher here from Luke is not going to be really good against this Vendilion Click here. And it looks like he's going to go ahead and Is It Charmant. He's going to say, do you have an answer for this? Now, I'm not really too big of a fan of how Luke did this, knowing that he has a Flusterstorm in his hand. He could very easily just keep up Flusterstorm to try and accomplish something. But I guess with all the lands that Hawker has, maybe that's not too reasonable.
Did you see what he kept on top? It was some blue card.
It was Vendilion Click.
Oh.
Hawker spun, he found another Vendilion Click. I'd be interested to see if during the end step he goes ahead and tries to cast another one.
And he's just going to untap, draw his card, and say go, probably. Yep.
And just has Click Snapcaster in hand. So he's gonna go ahead and see what Luke does here. Now, if Luke goes ahead and attacks with Hapless Researcher here, I think Hawker's fine taking one, potentially casting his Snapcaster Mage 2 to start getting beats on.
And draw steps, you cast Vendilion Click.
And Luke's going to have to let that resolve. He doesn't really have anything going on, and with his hand right here, he can't really do anything but he'll just have to accept his fate.
Yeah, and the best thing you can take there is probably Flusterstorm, and that's not even that good of a take.
Right, so I think what Luke's going to have to do here is he's going to have to attack first. It's going to be a free attack for him. There's no way that Chris is going to block here and get rid of his Vendilion Click.
I mean, he could.
And it looks like he's just going to go ahead and pass here. Hawker's going to spin the top, and he has a Tundra and 2 Swords to Plowshares. So looks like he's just going to draw that Tundra, play his Tundra, and start getting his beats on with Vendilion Click. Oh, it looks like he drew Swords to Plowshares.
All right, well, Luke's on a 3-turn clock, so he needs to come up with something pretty quickly.
An attack for 1 to start things off from Hapless Researcher. He's going to go ahead and use his ability. He's going to discard a dead card in his hand. That looks like an archetype of Endurance.
Yeah, it does.
And Archetype of Endurance is really interesting here because giving all your creatures hexproof protects it from cards like Source of Plowshares and Caracas, which are typically Miracle's only outs. Hawker's going to go ahead and spin here. He's going to see 2 lands and a Source of Plowshares, and he's just going to go ahead and let that happen and attack for 3. Luke's going to go down to 5.
Luke needs to come up with something quick.
Sire of Insanity is not going to be good enough this turn.
Land Terminus. Well, you don't really want the Terminus right now.
Hawker's just going to go ahead and play his Tundra that he's going to draw for his turn. He's going to attack Luke down to 2, and that's it. Luke's going to go ahead and pack it in. And this is certainly one of the faults of just combo decks in general, is sometimes you need a lot of pieces really to really get going or put any pressure, and if you don't draw any of them, it's really hard for you to get going. That's why a lot of people play Storm more than anything else, because Storm is just the most consistent deck. It just has so many draw spells, and it also has tutors in the deck, so you don't always need too much to get going. A simple thing like Past in Flames and Lion's Eye Diamond can just get you to a win.
Storm is just a deck of pieces and ways to get pieces.
Right, yes. So is so are a lot of the combo decks. A deck like Reanimator is just draw spells and ways to find your 2 halves. But Storm is in such a way that you also have a lot of tutors, and you have a lot of consistency, and you have a lot of speed attached to you as well. All right, let's see if we found another match for us, and it looks like we might have. It looks like we're just going to do a deck tech with the Eldrazi deck.
I might have to screen capture this to save for later for myself.
It looks like we're going to do a deck tech with Michael, who we saw earlier defeat Jeskai Delver.
This is looking very similar to a list I was working on myself. I didn't have Endless One in it because I didn't realize it worked with Ivug, but now that it does, it seems like you kind of have to include it.
All right, guys. It looks like we're just getting set up here, and then we're going to have a deck tech with Kory and with Kory, and it looks like Michael and Paul are both doing. It looks like they might have worked on this list together. And I really like the sideboard Fairy Macabres here. It's a really easy way to have just a graveyard hate that's hard to interact with.
All right. So we got some hotness for you guys.
Can I look at your deck?
Oh, here, let's move this back a little bit. Straight out of Zendikar. Motherfucker. Straight out of Zendikar. Dude, we should call the deck straight out of standard. Yeah. Straight out of standard. Well, it's block. Yeah. Like every creature except Provoker standard.
So, you guys want to give me a brief rundown of what it is we're playing and how this came about?
Oh yeah. We're just it's just no frills. The deck is called Eldrazi Stompy. It's very, very straightforward. It's got a lot of the elements like the old Stompy decks used to. You have Churnosphere, Chalice, Wasteland, and your Soul Land effects. It's just with the recent printings in whatever battle for Zendikar, whatever set we're on now.
An Oath of
the Gatewatch. They printed a boatload of new Eldrazi's, which give you even more soul lands. So everything in the deck now is either a super accelerant, a soul land, or a spell. Cavern makes all your stuff uncounterable. Wasteland mana constricts them, so it's easy to actually catch your opponents under your Churnosphere, having to not be able to cast any spells. Yes.
Wow.
Incorrect.
Yeah, they're coming. They've all the foil cards for this deck have been purchased.
Is Fairy Macabre better than
So TCG player, keep those prices going up.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's free.
Yeah.
So it can't be counterspelled.
And it can it be ciphered?
It can be Stifled, but you have Chalice.
Yeah.
So the deck has a lot of 4-ups for consistency. The mana base is, I think, the simplest thing about it. You have Orborg, which works very well with Eye of Ugin.
Now, how exactly do these guys work together?
So
I've seen it before, but
this Eye of Ugin reduces the cost of Eldrazi spells and creatures by 2. So if you play this on first turn, you can play however many mimics you have in your opening hand and just dump it out. Orborg makes Eye a swamp, so now you can tap it for mana. So on turn 2 you can have 4 mana. You just can't cast Thought Not Seer with that.
Right.
4 mana.
Yeah.
Because they both produce black. You still need the colorless aspect of it. Seed of Traders is fantastic, and it arguably should be a 4-of. I mean, it really is good, but you get weird, awkward hands when you have an opening hand of 2, and it's hard to... I mean, you want to make all your land drops. And then 4 Ancient Tombs, 4 Eldrazi Temple, 4 Cavern of Souls, which just makes all the counterspells irrelevant, and then 4 Wasteland for matchups like lands and the Delver decks. You have let's start.
Eldrazi Temple is just like another soul land in this deck, essentially.
It legitimately, yeah, it is a soul land for creatures only. Oh no, it also does it for spells too. If you have Eldrazi spells.
If they're Eldrazi spells, which we used to.
Yeah.
But one of.
So I guess we'll go to the creature base next.
Yep. Actually, let's go to the disruption first.
We'll
it goes
do
over.
disruption.
Yeah.
You said Stompy, so
right.
got me a little excited.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's go through the
So we start with 4 Chalice of the Void. Obviously, Chalice of the Void for 1 is what we're always going to try to do. There are certain matchups where you might want to do Chalice for 0. The Storm matchup, for instance. But I mean, if you Chalice for 1, that tends to take them down too. Trinisphere is fantastic against the Delver decks and the Storm decks. Warping Whale is Eldrazi Command, really. You get 3 really powerful effects. The first is exile target creature with power or toughness 1 or less. And if you look at the format, that's like almost all the first turn drops that you really want to deal with. It also deals with opposing revokers on your equipment.
Yeah, I saw you working well. Just optimistic, and thought that was pretty awesome. I also like that you can use like God Not Seer to like attack their hand after they go get it.
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It seemed very
Good, yeah.
It's very good.
I didn't know that was before.
Yeah, oh yeah, it's one of the best cards in the deck.
It's been really, really good.
Counter target
Mike was
sorcery,
saying.
is very strong. Counter show and tell is one of our big ones.
Yeah. It also hits Terminus, so against Miracles, in conjunction with Sphere and Chalice, if you have any combination of your major disruption elements, if they go to flip top and Terminus, 9 times out of 10 they can't cast more than 1 spell for the turn.
Right.
So this becomes hard counter when they can't force a will back, which is insane in that matchup.
It really is.
It hits every tutor in your combo deck, Past in Flames. It hits hand disruption. It is literally Eldrazi Command.
Yeah.
I think it would have been too powerful if they would have made it tribal Eldrazi. It would have been too powerful, I think.
It would have been great.
Make a deal?
Oh yeah, you can ramp up to Reality Smasher or Endbringer, depending on what you need. And then honestly, the dudes hold equipment. So we have Jitty and we have Sword of Fire and Ice. Jitty's a legendary, so as great as it is, you never want to draw 2. So that's why there's only 1. And then Sword of Fire and Ice is just a little too it's expensive, but it gets around like True Nemesis and gives itself protection from Jace bounce and protection from Punishing Fire. Right. So those are some of the more difficult decks. We have a 1-of Phyrexian Metamorph, which is fantastic. He can copy any of these creatures. So Matter Reshaper.
Because it's artifact or creature.
Right. Thought Not Seer, Reality Smasher, or Endbringer. So if we have any of these out, he's just another copy of those. And then he can copy opposing creatures like Termaggoyf. And
Stoneforge Mystic is another good one to copy when you're playing against Blade decks.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
You can tutor out your own equipment.
Yeah, he's also kind of good in the show and tell matchup. If they show and tell out a 15-15, then on your turn you can cast him potentially uncounterable, and then
you get the cast trigger for Emrakul, so you take the extra.
So we'll get the cast trigger, so we'll get to attack. We'll get the time walk.
It's definitely worth noting that you can't put this into play on show and tell and get whatever they
right, because they see each other separately.
Yeah.
They come in at the same time and don't
interesting,
see each other.
If they do cast show and tell and you have Endbringer, then that's fantastic because his second ability,
I know a lot of sneaky jump players that are complaining about this card right now.
Yeah, so his second ability, if you guys don't know, is target creature can't attack or block this turn. So if they show and tell, he'll be haste. You can ping on your turn, right? Or draw a card. He'll untap on their turn, and then you can prevent them from attacking with their 15-15. So it's very Endbringer can't, they can't win with just the show and tell. And then against sneak attack decks, we've got 4 Revokers. So we're very well accomplished against the combo. We're a creature deck that can beat have all the disruption that can beat the combo decks, and then a lot of the Delver decks, like the Cheetle and Mana, have lots of threat stacks, and then our creatures are really big, so even against the fair decks, we have game against that.
Yeah, I've seen this deck just rip fair guys.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, it's really good too because, also going back to the mana bases against the fair decks, they're either super tempo oriented or they want to hit like a critical mass to where they can set up tricks, say like Death and Taxes, to where they can use like Mother of Runes for protection, which against this does 0. And where you get these super fast hands where you can dump more power than they can as fast as they can because of things like Eye. Like if you have Eye opening up into multiple mimics, multiple endless ones, and then untapping onto turn 2 with like Thought Knot Seers, and you can just smash. Like the deck, it takes a very, very, very specific 9 cards to do it, but unabated, the deck can kill on turn 2. Like, it's insane the actual power level this deck can put out. Like, it's been very, very solid. We've been working on this thing for a couple of weeks now.
Really,
and
just after it was spoiled. The full set was spoiled.
It's been the most fun I've had playing Legacy in a long time.
So we're a little bit out of time because the next round's starting. We might be able to get you guys because I'm curious about sideboarding and I'm curious about going forward. So if you can do guys.
Yeah, we'll come back after the next round.
Good luck. How are you tonight?
I'm 2-0.
We're both 2-0 tonight.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then at the last big tournament, I got 11th, the 5K. I went with this exact line.
So I did see you.
It's me and you.
Playing,
Yeah.
And I thought fucking not. The deck was pretty. Oh,
Okay. Yeah.
Well,
I was the only Eldrazi player at the
yeah,
5K.
I saw it. It definitely turned my head on the winning team. So I was
Yeah.
like, yes, I like it. I'm always a fan. This is so hot.
Alright, we'll have to come back and let you know how it does against Miracles this round in a minute.
Yeah,
so,
yeah, yeah.
Which
What happened to that?
pretty decent. Sideboard's right there for you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Who's feature? These guys?
I don't know.
Kory, who's feature?
I don't know.
This card is so good.
The battle of the non-blue decks. No, I'm okay.
Your Dale.
Fairfield, Fairfield. Field. Spelled just how it sounds.
There's a lot of dirty guys know that the other day. You guys know when he tried.
He's running Aggro, and I'm running Nixon. So it should be an interesting matchup.
Back on Mikey's kitchen table.
Sorry, I forgot I totally had this mic over here. Alright guys, I'm going to go ahead and mute my mic and let you guys take it from here.
Alright. Hey guys, Timmy had to go. He's not feeling too well and he has to get up really early. This is also going to be my last round of commentary. Then I'm going to go ahead and get to bed too because I also have to get up really early. Right here, we're going to have a matchup of Aggro Loam versus Nick Fit, which is going to be really interesting, I think. Aggro Loam does have some decent cards for this matchup. Loam is going to be really good to get a lot of value, and Knight of the Reliquary, if it's in it, is going to be... can get pretty big, but Nick Fit just has so many basics that Wasteland's not going to be too great, and since it goes so much bigger than Aggro Loam, there's a chance that it might just go ahead and put him out. For you guys asking what Nick Fit is, Nick Fit is the name of a veteran explorer deck. It uses cards like Volrash Stronghold and Cabal Therapy in combination with Veteran Explorer to ramp a bunch of basics out of their deck. Just in general with Legacy, a lot of decks don't play basics. That's because they don't really need to. There are a lot of different variations of Nick Fit in general. I'm not sure which version. I don't know how to pronounce his name, and I don't really want to mess it up. But I'm not sure what kind of version Bagg's playing. There's a chance that it could be a bug version. There's a chance it could be a Jund version, or even just straight black-green. Generally, decks like this tend to play cards like Pernicious Deed and Cabal Therapy and sometimes Abrupt Decay and Maelstrom Pulse to kind of break through whatever they have. And it looks like Bagg's going to go ahead and cast Cabal Therapy here. Yep. And next turn, what's great is he can cast Veteran Explorer, hold priority, and then sacrifice Veteran Explorer to Cabal Therapy to rip another card out of Dale's hand. Dryad Arbor here from Dale, and he's going to have to go ahead and pass here. He tried to cast Loam. Unfortunately, he's not able to do that. Dryad Arbor has Summoning Sickness. Forest here from Bagg. Bagg's going to go ahead and play Veteran Explorer. Going to go ahead and Cabal Therapy away that Liliana and advance his board. I'm not sure how many basics Dale has in his deck, but we're about to find out. Now, it looks like he has Thespian Stage in his deck. Looks like he just has the one Forest as the one basic land in his deck. And it looks like Mr. Bagg's going to go ahead and it looks like he's playing white in his deck too. Now, there are a couple reasons that he could be playing junk. Depends on if he wants to play something like Birthing Pot or not. But there's certainly a lot of potential that he could be doing here. Siege Rhino is definitely a big reason to play Abzan, so Sigarda. So I'm really interested to see what kind of cards Bagg's going to have in his deck.
Rudy, just a quick update. I'm going to be adding some Chris Miller to the call here.
Sure. And it looks like Bagg went ahead and Green Sun Zenith for Deathrite Shaman. Now, Deathrite Shaman is going to be really good against cards like Life of the Loam and eating all the lands in his graveyard. Looks like a Mazavith from Dale, and he's going to go ahead and cast Life for the Loam. I can't imagine Bagg here does anything but go ahead and eat this Life for the Loam and pass.
Hey, what's going on, Chris? You got your mic and everything all set up?
Looks like he has Volrash Stronghold, Abrupt Decay in his hand, and a Bayou, and I believe a Reclamation Sage. All right, Windswept Heath. All right, Deathrite Shaman's going to go ahead and eat Life of the Loam. He's going to drop Dale down to 18. A fetch here from Bagg's going to drop him to 18. He's going to go ahead and get another basic here. And this is part of the problem with a deck that's kind of reliant on Life of the Loam and Wasteland to keep their opponent down, is if your opponent just has a ton of basics like this Nick Fit deck, it's really easy to fall behind.
Hi everybody, this is Chris Muller. I'm filling in for Tim for the next probably match or two. So, hi Rudy. Hi Kory.
Chris, how's it going?
Hi Stream. Good, how are you guys?
What's good?
All right, and looks like Dale just went ahead and passed. Bagg's going to draw a Bayou, plays Bayou, and play Pernicious Deed. Pernicious Deed, not very good against Dryad Arbor, but certainly good as time goes on, Dale is going to have cards in his deck like Knight of the Reliquary and the like.
Yeah, Pernicious Deed's really going to limit how much Dale can put on the board before it gets to be too much of a several for one.
And it looks like Dale here has a couple of playtest cards. I'm not quite sure what they are, but Kory's going to go ahead and confirm for us what they're supposed to be. It's a Gaddock Teague. All right. Gaddock Teague's kind of interesting here. It's going to prevent Bagg from using Green Sun Zenith in this slot, and I don't think he has too many spells that or too many non-creature spells that are going to cost more than 4. So I'd be very interested to see if Bagg really cares about this, and he cares about enough to Abrupt Decay it.
Yeah, I'm surprised he burned an Abrupt Decay on that. And he got rid of the Pernicious Deed just for the Dryad Arbor. That's surprising, too. Guess he really values keeping the board clear. And Cabal Therapy from Bagg. Gets rid of life from the Loam. That's not the most value I've ever seen from a Cabal Therapy, because that's the life from the Loam's probably coming back soon. Oh, we can just get it from Death, right?
Yeah, and it looks here like Dale's falling really far behind really quickly. Bagg doesn't even really have anything going on. It looks like the other playtesting card is Caracas here, which is also not going to be very good here. And just another land from Bagg, and Bagg's just going to be sitting back and trying to find an answer. And with the Knight of the Reliquary off the top, I think Bagg's going to feel a little bit bad about using his Abrupt Decay and his Pernicious Deed so quickly.
Yeah, that's a big draw. I mean, you kind of have to question whether those removal spells were worth it for what they got.
And Bagg's going to go ahead and eat an Abrupt Decay and just keep eating away at Dale's life. Dale's going to drop down to 14. I'm surprised that Bagg didn't go for the Cabal Therapy immediately. I guess he wants to maybe get value off of a future Veteran Explorer, but even then, I don't think that's going to be really good for him. Looks like Bagg's hand is Volrash, Stronghold, Garruk Relentless, and something else that I couldn't quite make out.
Yeah, Bagg is very flooded here.
What's really nice here is he's going to go ahead and eat that Dryad Arbor, gain some life, and shrink Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah, Death Ray does a good job against Knight of the Reliquary normally, but it doesn't usually get to gain you life in the process. That Garruk Relentless is really big.
Wow, what's really impressive here is that Bagg just went ahead and fought, and Dale did not make use out of his Wasteland here. Waste just targeting itself would have made it trade with the Garruk. He also could have targeted his Mazavith and just force Bagg to lose his Garruk altogether while having a 4/4 Knight.
Yeah, I'm not sure what he's saving that Wasteland for. Bagg has a ton of lands, and we haven't really seen any utility lands. Oh, well, there's Volrath Stronghold.
Right, and it looks like Bagg's just going to go ahead and start pressing up on these Death Touch Wolves. It's probably looks like Dale's going to hand him his own Death Touch Wolves from his own box, because it looks like Bagg didn't have any.
Yeah, it might be a little bit of a tell that Dale might have Garruk Relentless as well.
Yeah, and a Sigarda here off the top, and Dale's seen enough. He's going to scoop it up here. What would have been really interesting is that if we kept going there, Garruk would have just been able to rip through his deck and find him a bunch of Siege Rhinos and just really close the game out in a couple turns. And I think kind of Dale realized that and decided to go ahead and pack it up.
Yeah, he had really run out of gas. He really needed to keep that Knight of the Reliquary on the board.
Yeah, I think that might have been a slight oversight, and that's certainly something that isn't an obvious play. A heads-up play of wastelanding yourself seems kind of obvious, in the face of cards like Price of Progress.
Yeah.
But trying to save your own Knight of the Reliquary isn't something that comes up very often, or growing your Knight of the Reliquary by wasting yourself. Since that's something that's a pretty rare thing, it might not have even crossed Dale's mind.
Yeah, I think he would have seen the line if his knight had been not summoning sick. He probably would have activated it, but the Wasteland was kind of obscure.
Yeah. It looks like Dale here is going to go ahead and board out all of his Punishing Fires, which I think is a pretty smart thing to do.
Yeah, they're good against Deathrite, but I mean, you don't want to be targeting a Veteran Explorer, and you're probably not killing anything else in Bagg's deck with them.
Right. Definitely.
He also took
agree with it.
out Liliana and Chalice, it looked like.
Yeah, Chalice here is not going to be very good, although it is kind of interesting. Although Dale has no ones in his deck, it is kind of interesting to point out that Chalice on 1 does slow Bagg down. Not being able to use Veteran Explorer or Cabal Therapy could actually give Dale the kind of jump he needs to kind of get out in front of this Nick Fit deck.
Yeah, Deathrite Shaman as well. I mean, I guess the issue is just Bagg has so many answers to it. Abrupt Decay.
Right, and Pernicious Deed. So it definitely kind of comes to this point is just like, how stressed do you want to make your opponent? How stressed do you want their removal to be? So we definitely might be possible that that's something that he would want to do, is stress out all of his opponent's Abrupt Decays and Pernicious Deeds and force him to use them at awkward times so he could get his game plan going.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what else he has to bring in.
Yeah, I'm curious to see what Bagg has in his sideboard here for Aggro Loam. I have to assume he has some sort of graveyard hate.
Yeah, I think you just want graveyard hate and big mid-range things.
Yeah. Siege Rhino is definitely going to be a powerful card here. Sigard is also going to be really good. Sigard is great against a deck that just has multiple Liliana that Veils in it.
Yeah. I think that might be one of the reasons you saw Dale take out a Liliana.
Yeah, what is also interesting is while Dale was shuffling through his deck before, I believe I saw a Thespian stage and potentially a Dark Depths.
He has a Dark Depths in his hand.
Yeah, I just saw that. So that's really interesting here.
And a stage, actually. He's got the combo in his hand.
Yeah, even though this hand is a little weak, I think it might not be unreasonable to keep. He has no black lands, but he knows that Bagg doesn't really play cards like Swords to Plowshares, and neither does he play cards like Wasteland. So Dale might just be able to, on turn 4, play Dark Depths and make a 20/20, and that just might be too much for Bagg to handle.
Yeah, and he has Sylvan Library and Dark Confidant to get him some card advantage on the way.
Yeah, I'm definitely interested to see how he's going to be able to handle this. Savannah in a pass is not going to be really good here. Thespian stage from Dale into Sylvan Library. Although I do, it looks like that was his only untapped source to play Sylvan Library on turn 2. But it is definitely a very telling play to let your opponent know that, hey, listen, there's a good chance that I have Dark Depths in my deck, and a discard from Bagg is devastating.
And that's a Vraska the Unseen that he discarded. So this could be a runaway.
Yeah, it looks like Dale actually might have just drawn exactly what he needed. A Mox Diamond here will actually give him exactly the mana he needs to make a Dark Depths token.
Oh, wow. Yeah, and he kept off Sylvan Library.
Yeah, and it looks like he still has a Tranquil Thicket in his hand, so he will have the land as well as the Dark Depths, and it looks like he's just going to be able to put Bagg right away, and it looks like there's not really anything he can do about it. Now, what is interesting to note is Bagg does have a Surgical in his hand, and I think even though he's going to lose this game, there's a lot of added benefit to Surgicaling your opponent's Tranquil Thicket to try and get a lot of information.
Yeah, if he can't find some way to answer the Merit Lage token, you should definitely do that.
And he's just going to go ahead and concede here. He's dead to the 2020, but I think there's a lot to say for getting some information here. Knowing how to sideboard might be very helpful for Bagg for this game 3.
Yeah, I agree. In a F&M situation, you may not see that, but it's definitely something you should do in a higher stakes tournament.
Yeah, I mean, although I do definitely understand, I believe Bagg and Dale know each other, and they said something about playing potentially kitchen table Magic with each other. So there's just a good chance that he might just know Dale's sideboard. But in the case that you might not know, even if it is a casual event, it still might just be worth it just to kind of learn. Learning about different decks at events like this is exactly what you want to do. You want to learn what your opponent has, how they boarded, so you can kind of go ahead and get some information there. And be able to sideboard a little bit better, and even if you end up losing the match, you've at least gained some of that value.
Yeah, information is definitely important. And they didn't even look at their sideboard, so it's pretty clear that they know how they're going to sideboard in this matchup.
Yeah, I definitely think that's I think that's a little interesting. I think there's a lot of value to be gained by re-sideboarding, based on the player draw and based on what kind of
Yeah, I think you definitely at least take it out and look and make sure you're feeling good about what you have in.
Yeah, what's really interesting there is I believe Dale might have had a Dark Confidant in his hand on turn 2, and he decided that wasn't going to be good enough.
I don't know if he had a Black Source.
I believe his last card was a Verdant Catacombs. I may be wrong, but I think that's what I saw. And Bagg's here debating on what he wants to throw. If he wants to throw back his hand, it looks like he has a Deathrite Shaman and a Savannah, but again, it doesn't look like he has another land.
I see a Veteran Explorer in there. I think I saw a Siege Rhino.
Yeah, certainly some really good cards there, but if this Veteran Explorer doesn't die, that might be a big problem. And I think I actually disagree for the most part with boarding out Liliana the Veil, especially how we saw Game 2 play out, where Bagg's more likely to keep a slower hand. Liliana is going to be really good at shredding those hands apart, because he knows Dale's a slower deck, so keeping a card like Liliana the Veil to gain a ton of advantage might be very reasonable.
Yeah, I agree. I think Liliana in pretty much any fair, grindy matchup is just where you want to be.
Yeah, Savannah into Deathrite Shaman. He's going to pass right back to Dale. Dale
doesn't have the fetch land.
Nope, but he does have a Green Sun Zenith for Dryad Arbor, which is a fine start.
Yeah. I think Bagg kind of banked on Dale potentially helping him out with fetching on turn 1, and it didn't happen.
Yeah, I wonder if Dale had only fetch land. Only reasonable land was a fetch land, and he knew he was going to have to fetch, and just played around his opponent having Deathrite Shaman.
It's possible. I'm not sure he has a fetch land, but we'll see.
Let's see. Draw. Looks like he has a Cabal Therapy in his hand, a Sensei's Divining Top, and a Veteran Explorer. Let's see how he's going to go ahead and play this turn. Without another land, I think it might be important to play a Veteran Explorer, but it's also not unreasonable to play a top and then use it on our upkeep to make sure we try to find another land. And I think
I agree with that.
Yeah. He's going to go ahead and draw.
That's risky.
Yeah, I think that's pretty dangerous, but if you draw a land...
And he hit it. It wasn't the best land, but he got a land.
No, I think what he really wanted there was a fetch land.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it looks like Dale brought in Slaughter Games, which I think is really, really good here, because if we know that Bagg has something like Siege Rhino, we're going to need something to it. And a Knight of the Reliquary here on turn 3 is going to be pretty good. That playtest card, if you guys can't tell what it is, it's a Grove of the Burn Willows.
Yeah, Knight's a little small right now, and I believe Bagg has an Abrupt Decay, but he can't cast it because he doesn't have black mana.
Looks like Veteran Explorer and a Sensei's Divining Top are what Bagg's going to have to offer before he passes back. I'd be interested to see if I'll look, and he drew the Black Source, which is exactly what he needed to cast this Slaughter Games.
He's not going to do it. He's casting... I think that's a Garruk Relentless? Yeah.
All right, let's see what he does here. I'd have to say that probably his best thing to do is kill this Deathrite Shaman and get to work.
Yeah, I agree. I think Bagg has a Painful Truths in his hand.
Seems pretty solid here. Painful Truths in a slow matchup is going to be pretty good here. And once we start casting things like Abrupt Decay and Siege Rhino, I think we're going to be able to pull. I think Bag's going to be able to pull really far ahead.
Yeah, that was an awkward moment there. Dale didn't want to attack with Knight because he didn't want to kill the Veteran Explorer.
Yeah, Dale's just going to have to hope that he can sit back. Although, fortunately, he can end step fetch for a Thespian Sage and then fetch for a Dark Depths here.
Yeah.
Yeah, he found a black source. Bagg found a black source off his top. I think although it's not great here, I think we're going to have to decay this Knight of the Reliquary.
Yeah, I agree. The Knight's just too problematic in this matchup.
What is also really interesting here is because of how Bagg's lands are, he's going to be in a ton of trouble if Dale has a Wasteland. Well, that Veteran Explorer is sitting around and is going to be kind of nice. Dale might amass too much of an advantage that it doesn't matter if Bagg gets another couple of lands out.
Yeah, I mean, it depends on what the Wasteland hits. Bagg has a Cabal Therapy, so he can get more lands by sacking the Veteran Explorer. And you might see a Dale try to get him off green by hitting the Savannah.
What actually might be really good here is a Cabal Therapy and then Flashback Cabal Therapy. We can get a Swamp. Bagg can go ahead and get a Swamp, leave up a green source, or he can actually get Swamp Forest and then Decay of the Night.
Huh.
Now, what is really interesting here is Dale, while his opponent's tapped out, he can just go get a stage and then untap and get a Depths and make a 20/20.
Yeah. I not sure about killing Garrick Relentless there.
Yeah, I think the combo just might not be in the forefront of Bagg's mind. He's just trying to play a longer game here, and I think he might be realizing his mistake as Dale searches immediately for the one of Thespian stage.
Yeah, I mean, you'd think it should be in his mind. It killed him last game.
Yeah, the question here is Dale going to go ahead and just fire off this 20/20 now, or is he going to wait for something? And what exactly is he really playing around if he waits?
Yeah, I mean, Bagg's tapped out, and I guess you could be. No, Liliana doesn't do it because you can just sack the Knight.
Right, and I don't even think Bagg plays something like Liliana in his deck or Swords to Plowshare. So I'm really interested to see. He's just going to go ahead and pass here. So I wonder what's going to happen. What is actually really interesting here is if Bagg were to draw Karakas, if he has Karakas in his deck, it would be a very good answer.
Yeah. I mean, I guess doing it on Dale's main phase doesn't play around that.
That is certainly true. So let's see. I think what might have been Bagg's out there is to just draw his card, Cabal Therapy his opponent, and then play Siege Rhino to go up to 23. And then use your last remaining mana after that, because I believe you'll have one remaining mana. No, he won't have any remaining mana. And then on your upkeep, search for a Karakas. That might have been a way to get out of this, but it doesn't look like Bagg has any outs in his hand. It looks like he just has a Painful Truths and a Cabal Therapy.
Yeah. Siege Rhino could have bought him a turn, but he didn't go that route. So I don't think he's going to stay in this game after the next turn. We have Cabal Therapy here.
Let's see what he's going to go ahead and try to name in the dark. Just multiple Abrupt Decays and Slaughter games.
And a Green Sun Zenith.
Alright. He went ahead and he named Punishing Fire. Punishing Fire is going to be a miss.
Yeah, Punishing Fire is not in Dale's deck right now.
He does have one, I believe. I believe he only boarded up 2 of the 3.
Alright, now we're going to get our lands.
We're going to stack these triggers. Dale's going to go ahead and get the 1 force in his deck. Bagg's going to go ahead and get 2 basics out of his deck. Bet he really wishes he could search up a Caracas with Veteran Explorer.
Yep. Veteran Explorer would be real good if you get any land.
I think I would play foreign lands if you could just get any land.
I think I'd play 4 in a lot of decks if you could just get any land.
Certainly a very reasonable card.
Yeah. Getting to Punishing Fire your own card and then search for the combo would be pretty good in lands, though.
Yeah, now I'm interested to see, and it looks like Bagg's still searching. It looks like he still has an out. And was that a Caracas that I saw? Doesn't look
Can't
like
tell.
it. It's really hard to see from that position.
I think Wasteland could also be an out.
I do not believe Nick Fit plays Wasteland, but I might be wrong.
Oh, here we go. Tap the mana, sack the forest.
And go ahead and get the Dark Tips and use that floating mana to go ahead and make a 20/20 here.
Yep, I don't think Bagg can do anything about this.
Yep, Bagg's going to go ahead and pack it in. He doesn't have any answers.
Yep, I mean, that kind of shows you the power of having a just win the game combo in a grindy mid-range matchup.
Yeah, I definitely like it. I've seen a lot of aggro Loam lists floating around, but I haven't seen any of them with stage and depths yet. So I do kind of like its positioning, and I kind of like where that's going. So I think Aggro Loam's obviously a very, very interesting deck. Obviously has a lot of play to it. Is better in certain metagames. And looks like Dale here was able to pull out kind of a bad matchup here against Nick Fit.
Yeah, I'm not really sure who's favored in this matchup, but yeah, Dale played very well, I think.
Yeah, he knew what his plan was, and he knew what he was looking for, and he went ahead and he tried to implement it to the best of his ability. And he was rewarded for it.
Yeah, it looks like he took out the Loams, which is kind of interesting.
Very, very interesting. I think if your opponent did have an answer to the Dark Depths combo, I think the best thing to do is to keep in the Loam to keep rebuying on it.
Yeah, I guess if he knows his opponent's not playing Wastelands or any land destruction, it might not be as valuable.
Yeah,
but I agree with the combo pieces.
Yeah, what's also reasonable is that if your opponent does have a Deathrite Shaman and is eating at your lands, Loam is a really good way to keep a healthy amount of lands in your graveyard to keep Knight of the Reliquary up to a decently high amount.
Yeah, I mean, I guess though with Deathrite Shaman, if you're thinking about that, Loam might not be the best because it just gets eaten by Deathrite Shaman as well, which is what we saw happen in Game 1. Oh, we have another Eldrazi deck coming up, or it's a deck.
Yeah. A deck part 2. All right, and
yeah, we have a different Eldrazi deck.
Eldrazi Stompy.
I need to do this kind of stuff.
All right.
Yeah. Well, that's why I pointed out, and definitely like go back and watch the footage too, because we will always talk about all of our plays.
Yeah, we'll turn it over to Kory for a bit.
Yep, we're going to turn it over to Kory for a bit. I'm actually going to get out of here for the night. I have to be up in 5 hours.
All right. Good luck at regionals tomorrow.
Thanks, Chris. I really appreciate it. Are you going?
I will not be.
All right, man. Then I will catch you around. Thank you guys for watching. As always,
Thanks,
make sure
Rudy.
you follow. Yeah, no problem. Make sure you guys follow Snapcasters. You guys can see us live every Tuesday, sometimes Wednesday, sometimes Friday. But check out Honorog and I doing some commentary on Tuesday when we stream at games and stuff. Have a good night, guys.
Good night, Rudy. Thanks again.
Anytime.
Yeah, he's signing out.
I feel like that would be a question. Do you want me to just bring out the sideboard, or do you want me to put the deck out
We'll
again?
just bust up the sideboard.
Yeah.
Sideboard.
A tree saved me after
Yeah, it's cool. Are you gonna cut that and make it one thing or something?
Yeah. I'm just gonna I'm cutting out all the deck text now, so I'm gonna just place these two together.
Oh, cool. Okay.
I mean, I can put out this stuff, just like the
Do you
one
want to
notes.
put the list back out again, or just the sideboard?
We don't have to do the whole list.
Okay, it's just the sideboard.
Like we can pull the sideboard out, and I guess we could fan it out while we're talking about it.
Here, put that. I'll do it. It's fine.
Oh, you want to put the whole list out again?
Yeah.
Oh, hey Billy, can we turn this down just for a second?
Yeah, but if you win a tournament,
It's just while we do the deck tech, so like copyright issues.
Yeah, that it got real loud here when I called it last week. Could they hear that?
Yeah. I turned the levels up, so I think it'll turn out fine.
How many people did you guys?
Right now we got 45.
All I saw was the best player was a bad Carmine. And he just kept throwing.
So sideboard options.
Okay, I'll just block.
While he's doing this, I'll just go over the sideboard.
Yeah. So what do we have for what?
So basically, let's start with the sideboard here. We'll just run through it real quick.
Yeah.
We have 6 pieces of Grave Hate. The lands matchup can be kind of rough. Reanimator is kind of rough, and Dredge can be to an extent if they get a very fast start. So we have 2 Tormod's Crypts, 4 Fairy Macabre, which we'll get into why those numbers and what the cards are in a minute. 1 Endbringer, which has been really good against like the show and tell matchups, as you were saying earlier. Like they show and tell and untap, it's really good. Needle looks a little out of place here. We'll get back to that one too. Ratchet Bomb is good against any kind of general swarm strategies, Delvers, Death and Taxes, basically any fair deck that we're siding out things like Chalice against that aren't really great. Same thing with Spatial Contortion and Dismember. They're really, really good against the fair decks. As the unfair decks, we have extremely good matchups game 1, and then game 2 we get decided on what kind of hate that we want to go over with. Which, speaking of those unfair matchups, against lands and Reanimator, we side pretty similarly, which is we're going to be bringing in the 4 Fairy Macabres and the 2 Tormod's Crypts. And the reason that it's 4 and 2 instead of things like Surgical Extraction or Crypt or Spell Bomb or what's the Relic? Yeah, Relic is because of Chalice. Chalice stays in all those matchups. Fairy Macabre is free. It can't be countered from Reanimator. They can stifle it, but they generally don't run stifle. And a lot of times they don't see it coming because most Reanimator lists right now are on Abrupt Decay as compared to Chain of Vapor and Needle. They're splashing a little bit of green because it's better against Rest in Peace, and they're not so much from the show and tell play. So Crypt in play, they can Abrupt Decay. Fairies instant speed. A lot of times they don't see it coming. The same thing against lands, because we have things like Warping Whale and Fairy. We can remove their targets in response to Whale, or in response to Loam, or Whale it and then instant speed remove it in the same turn, while still keeping mana up to play creatures and having Whale and other pieces up for say like Endbringer to activate and things like that. So it's a complete tempo thing, and because it can't be countered and it doesn't interfere with our chalices.
What's this card here? I'm having a hard time seeing.
Spatial Contortion is a brand new card. It's basically nameless inversion for Eldrazi. It's 1 and a colorless targeted creature gets +1, -3. This guy gets brought in most of your Delver matchups. It's cheap. It kills Delver, Pyromancer, Deathrite. It kills all of your utility creatures. It's amazing against Death and Taxes. Mother of Runes can't do anything about the protection because it's colorless, which is a big thing, having it be colorless.
You can also use it to pump either Thought Not Seer, Reality Smasher, or Endbringer. It can be
extra 1 point. I guess.
No, 3.
It's extra
plus
3.
3 minus 2.
Yeah.
So it's nameless inversion.
Okay.
Right. So you can use it aggressively too,
Yeah.
as in defensively.
We would have 3 Dismembers, but we just believe the life loss with Ancient Tomb and our one of Phyrexian Metamorph is a little too much to support 3.
Yeah. Most of the time, your Dismembers are also coming in against the same matchups, mainly to hit the bigger things. So Goyf, Goyf can be a problem for this deck sometimes. Generally, the only thing that'll get bigger. Angler, yes. Angler's a little bit harder to cast for them. Generally, we're quicker than Angler. The thing that was Goyf comes out on turn 2 religiously, like every time turn 2, and unless we have a fast start of like Mimic into into Thought Knot into Smasher, Goyf gets big really quick. So the only maybe 2 to 3 cards in the deck that can actually handle the Goyf main deck is going to be an Endbringer, which will stop it from attacking, stop it from blocking, or generally can trade or kill with it in combat. Reality Smasher being 5 toughness, Goyfs very rarely get above 5, but with us having artifacts in this list in the main, Goyf sometimes does get to be a 5-6 and we have trouble killing it. Other than that, Endless Wind on the back end, if we make him really, really huge, should block and kill a Goyf, but if we're making a very large Endless Wind fast, that means Mimic speeding him in the face and Goyf's going to be relegated to blocking duty, so we're fine there. But when they get to side out their dead cards like Force of Wills, Daces, and things like that, while we have Cavern, it can be real tough and grind when they're bolting and killing our small dudes. Goyf will go the distance late in the game, so we have to have a cheap removal spell for it. And he's just an all-star.
What's nice is we have Orberg, so sometimes we don't have to pay the life.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Right, which is another plus.
Yeah, I didn't get that.
It's free sometimes. Ratchet Bomb also falls in the same category against the fair decks. He's great against Death and Taxes. One of the biggest reasons he's in here is against Elves. Elves can be somewhat problematic as they can do very, very fast starts. As to where Chalice of the Void's very good. They do run Abrupt Decay and generally run Thoughtseize and or Cabal Therapy in the sideboard. So you kind of have to overload on hate for that. So one of these guys will resolve. With this set at 1, they have a hard time going off because they have to bait you into hitting it. And with you having Warping Whale and GTA, Spatial Contortion, Dismember, you can pick and choose when you actually want to blow your bomb and make it the most effective. So I mean, most of the board is set up for that. It's against the fair decks. Needle looks like the odd man out because of Chalice.
Right, I was just gonna say.
Right. The only time that Needle is coming in, it's generally only coming in for 3 matchups, and that's Death and Taxes, the Sneak Attack matchup, and Lands. Which seems kind of odd, but not against Miracles, because you have Chalice is very, very good against Miracles. Most of the lists right now are on Motto Ponder. They're on the Europeans, we like to call it the Anurag build. Hey, buddy. So they usually max out on Ponders, max out on Swords, max out on Snapcasters. They're very, very, very low to the ground. So Chalice does extra work against them because they only have Force of Will generally on turn 1. Because if they're on the play, either they're really good and they're keeping up Spell Pierce. No offense, Miracle players, most of you guys are kind of terrible. That's why you always draw. Unless they're super great Miracle players, they're gonna tap out a lot. So you just want to jam Chalice as fast as you can against them. Needle really only hits that. I mean, it hits Jace, but it's not super great. You have Quad Revoker. Also, under Churnosphere with Wasteland Lot, they have a hard time casting multiple spells in one turn.
Yeah.
So you generally lock them out pretty quickly.
4 Revoker with 4 Cavernous Wolves.
Yeah.
Like, you definitely have some things.
Yeah, it's really, really good. But the reason that Needle is in here is even though it does completely contradict with Chalice of the Void, you kind of have to have it for lands. Lands also generally brings in Quad Frozen Grip because they're going to see Chalice, they're going to see Revoker, and they're going to see Churnosphere. So it can slow them down to a crawl long enough for you to kill them. So they're going to bring in Grips. So a lot of times you'll have Chalice on one in turn 1 or 2 to slow them down. They're going to grip it. You then get to drop Needle on stage or what's basically affecting you from killing them. Or you have the Golden Hand where you go Needle turn 1, untap, play a dude, Chalice at 1 turn 2, and it makes it very hard because you can put a quick clock on it for them. So it's kind of instrumental. Sneak Attack's another thing to where you kind of need it because they do run Pyroclasm. If they're savvy players, they're going to bring in the Pyroclasm and or Wipe Away, so you need more answers for your Sneak Attack. We have Endbringers in that matchup to go up to 3 against them, so we have them covered. If they Sneak Attack in any dude and we put an Endbringer, if it's not Sneak Attack, we untap and take over the game because they can't attack or block at that point. And like I said, we just get we just get to win the game. The Death and Taxes matchup, I'm gonna let Mike go to this. This was actually his brainchild on how to sideboard with it. I played the matchup and butchered it the first 2 times. Mike's clarified that we haven't lost to it yet now with this new sideboard strategy against him.
Yeah, so the Death and Taxes matchup, you're going to bring in Dismember, Spatial Contortion, Ratchet Bomb, and Pithing Needle. So that's 8 cards. And then you're going to side out Trinisphere, because it's kind of useless.
Yeah, especially with, so from my experience playing Stompy, they have Stoneforge Mystic, which like they just go turn 2 Stoneforge Mystic, you go turn 2 Trinisphere, and they go, okay, cool, free spells still.
Yeah, so that's 3. The next card you side out is Chalice of the Void, and like you're like, why Chalice of the Void? You know,
yeah. Speaking from experience, also their only 1-drop that's relevant is
Source of Plowshare, right? So it's terrible, right?
Yeah.
So you side out these really terrible cards, and then you side out 1 Endbringer because it's so expensive, and then you bring in all this removal. Ratchet Bomb's really good against the Batterskull. You can kill the token with it, and Pithing Needle stops Rashid Port, Wasteland, and any of their equipment. Although you got to be careful, you don't want to name Jitty because you know Jitty's really good for you. Like you're like, why don't I side out Mimic? Because like Mimic is so big and so fast that like they only have so much removal. So if I cast any of my other guys, like you're putting a ton of pressure on them very, very early.
Yeah, it's one thing I just noticed that's really, really good is this deck essentially just defeats Mother Runes. Like,
Mother Runes.
They can't like protection from a color. Like cool story. Like there's no colors. Like seriously, the only relevant spell I guess would be Dismember.
Even Phyrexian Metamorph like becomes the colorless
it's
creature,
like
you know.
All right, yeah, cool. So,
I definitely kind of shit the bed the first couple times playing it. Where I've been a legacy player for so long, it's just like Death and Taxes 1-drops are so good, so good, so good. And the big power of their 1-drop is Mother of Runes, which in this list
it just
does nothing. Occasionally it might stop a Dismember, but you know what? Like, cool story, Mom.
I almost think if I'm Death and Taxes, I would almost want to board that card out.
Right, and most
there's no
people
reason. There's no reason to keep Mother Runes in against us.
Wow. That is super impressive.
That is very insane.
It's pretty well-rounded. You pretty much board for Infect a lot of the same way too. You bring in Dismember, Contortion, Ratchet. We're still kind of up in the air about some matchups, but so far it seems to be good. It's winning a lot. There's a lot of play to it. Sequencing is very, very difficult sometimes. It almost plays like a mix between shops and vintage with your lock pieces.
This really
an aggro deck.
What you start with.
I'm a shops player at heart. I've top 8'd vintage champs with shops, and I've done very well with shops. And when the Oath list was with Oath of the Gatewatch was spoiled, and we started putting the deck together, I was like, look, this is the deck that shops players want in Legacy. The mud deck is not even close.
It's the mud deck.
Yeah, this is much more akin to how shops plays in.
Yeah, you basically
you have Eldrazi Workshop.
This is a workshop.
That's a workshop.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah.
Oh, this looks so cool. So, going forward, how long have you been playing this deck?
About 2 weeks.
And
A little over 2 weeks.
Are there any other changes you wanna make? Any cards you're playing with?
This card's terrible. I suspect it's either going to be the 4th City of Traders, or maybe another Metamorph, or something. Like, we just haven't quite figured out what it's going to be, and that's why it's been Matter Reshaper, because it's, it is what it is. It's a 3/2.
It's a little mid-range.
But he's so underwhelming. He only pumps Mimic 1, right? And
sometimes you just hit Chalice.
He's still value is the thing why he's still on the list.
Yeah, and if they swords him, your ability's useless. He's just a 3 for 3/2. I mean, he's kind of interesting in some with Eye in play. Like, you can sometimes get him down for 1 mana. Like, so him being cheap is relevant. But there's just so many more powerful things that we could be doing with that particular slot that I suspect he'll end up leaving within the next week or 2, leaving the deck. The sideboard has come a long way since we first put it together. I'm really happy with where it is right now. There's a couple matchups that we really haven't play tested against, Elves being one of them. So we don't know how important that matchup really is. But yeah, I think that this deck is great. It's a lot of fun, and you guys should try it.
Yeah, it's really cool. Thanks for sharing it with us.
Definitely the best aspect of the deck, besides it being good. Dude, this deck is a blast to play.
We're both 3-0 now.
Yeah. So much fun to
Quick
play.
question: what are your usual cuts for what? Like, I guess if you're like, let's say you're playing against a combo deck, what? I guess you leave your tax.
So your expensive stuff. So against Storm, like, how good is Reality Smasher really? Like, it doesn't do anything.
Right.
You know, your equipment's not very good against the Storm deck, right? So you've got 2-4 cards. You know, it just depends on which combo deck you're trying to attack. Reanimator, again, like, your expensive stuff. You know, you can kill Reanimator with any of your small stuff. And look, Endless One scales, so he's really one of the best cards in the deck. Like, I've cast Endless One for as an 11/11 before.
Yeah,
I mean, he's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah.
He I'd really like the synergy between him and
Mimic.
The Mimic.
Yeah.
I just think that's really cool.
And what's great, we had one game against Lands where we had an eye in play. I had triple Mimic and an Endless One. Right? So sometimes you're just like, do I wait till next turn? Well, he could just Wasteland me. So you just put 8 power worth of creatures in play all at once. Right? You can cast him as a 2/2. I mean, that's a perfectly reasonable way to use him. Putting the pressure down early is very important against the Lands deck because they can just combo you out.
Now, I remember when this card got spoiled, a lot of people were trying Phyrexian Dreadnought with that to try to make a
we talked about it, but like, you have to run colors, right, to like make Dreadnought work.
Right.
And you're like, well, just
colors. They're OP or they're
colors.
Not,
we
don't need them.
Get them out of here.
Who needs colors? We have brown. That's our color.
I haven't played colors in years.
Yeah. I like.
Calm down, Everett. Calm down.
No, this is really neat. So, any other potential changes you see going forward?
One thing we've been talking about, we've been tossing the idea around. It's still kind of untested. Is we were talking about this. This is our legacy shops build. Is we don't have our Mistress Factories in here. We don't have our Manlands in here. It's still kind of up in the air. Kind of still up for discussion and talking.
Yeah, so Manlands was another, especially with the Pro Tour, you see Blinkmoth Nexus and Mutavault in the modern versions of this deck. And you have to ask yourself, do Manlands have a place here? And we don't know the answer to that question yet. I suspect that...
It seems like it's kind of tough to warrant, given the mana base already.
Yeah, so the question is, like, is 4 cities too much? You know, there is 3 eyes too much, right? There are slots in which you can get, 2 to 3 like Mistress Factory in the deck, if you so chose. So
that's really cool.
Yep.
All right. So I had a question. I totally don't remember it, but the deck looks awesome. Thanks for sharing it with us, you guys. Really looking forward to seeing where this goes. I might have to throw something like this together because this is like right in my vein of a Stompy deck that's just like wrecks the format. Oh,
try
I
it out,
remember
man.
question.
Try it out.
What matchups do you want, and what matchups are you trying to avoid?
So we want Storm.
Yeah.
We want
That
Show and
seems pretty
Tell.
good. Also pretty good.
We want
the Miracles.
Delver. Anything with Delver of Secrets in it is it's a buy.
Grixis Delver's very good. Bug Delver's been decent. They're a little...
Yeah, Abrupt Decay.
Abrupt Decay is not that... I mean, it's a factor in this, but it's not
it hits
that big.
Endless One and Mimic.
Right. Rug Delver is probably the least of the Delver decks you want to face up against, just because they have Goyf along with Grudge, and they're usually they're more resilient.
I mean, if you can get Chalice for 1 against them,
well, that's the thing is the bug decks out of all the decks can break out of the Chalice block the easiest.
Yeah, they can.
Is what I've...
So... to answer your question, decks that we don't want to see, Shardless Bug is probably the one deck that is very tough for us to deal with. And then Jund, although we haven't tested that matchup, but we suspect that's not good for us. So maybe the sideboard needs to be tweaked in order to deal with those decks. But there are a lot of decks in Legacy. I mean, a lot of decks in Legacy. And this deck has game against almost all of them. So... we think it's a real contender, and I personally think Oath of the Gatewatch has been one of the strongest sets that we've had.
I mean, look at the creature package. It looks like almost everything is from Oath.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's all Oath. This is Battle. This is Oath 2.
Well,
and this is Oath.
Zendikar in general.
Yeah, Zendikar. And then Zendikar gave us the lands, right?
Yeah.
I think this might actually be World Wake, but
yeah,
it's the
it's
same
crazy.
block, same
Yeah, that's cool. All right, guys. Well, thanks again very much for sharing it with us. I'm definitely going to be keeping my eye on you guys because I might have to drink some of this fine Kool-Aid because I've been nothing but impressed with, like I said, I saw your performance at the 5K last Saturday. Was impressed.
I lost to lands and I lost to 4-color Loam, and my
so that was one matchup I was curious about. How was these
so the problem was that my sideboard was just completely misbuilt. I had Lodestone Golems in my main deck. I had I just had 4 Crypts as my only graveyard removal. I didn't have Pithing Needle. I didn't have a 3rd Endbringer. Like, there were just, my sideboard was just misbuilt. So over the past week since that 5K, and even the next day, we did a lot of work on the sideboard, and this is our most latest build, and it's come a long way.
That's cool. That's cool.
Do you still want to keep playing?
I'm just checking the chat real quick.
Oh, I literally have 1 started in my extra deck. I would never have a fucking 1.
Yeah, no, we're good. All right, guys, thank you so much for
Thank
sharing
you.
with us. This deck is awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing you guys' progress. Are you going to be taking this to the Open? And,
Coming to a top 8 near you?
Coming home with a trophy, maybe?
I hope so.
I hope so.
I definitely wouldn't mind putting another Star City trophy on the mantle up there.
Another one?
Another one?
Yeah.
It would be nice.
All right, good luck to the both of you guys.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for sharing. All right, that deck is hotness.
It's got a lot of tech in it, with the like just these 3 cards are pretty techy. Like, people haven't really thought of it, especially this thing.
Yeah, I like that copy there, Stompy. Do you bring that in against Death, or you keep that in against
the main
Death
deck.
Taxes?
Yeah, we keep it against. Yeah, against my Death Taxes opponent, I swung for 5, and he had to tap out to play a guy, right? I just copied my guy, my hasty guy, and he's like, I'm dead.
They can't give it protection from blue with Mom, right?
Because it doesn't. And he triggers Mimic.
You're out? All right. Gotcha.
Yeah.
I'll see you, brother.
He triggers Mimic when you copy a guy. So if I copy, Reality Smasher, he'll trigger the Mimic because he's colorless at that point.
Oh, I see. Well, yeah, I was curious more in the line of they can't give it protection from blue because it doesn't target, right? It's just okay. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, it's like a clone effect.
Right.
Whatever.
Right.
Also,
okay.
do you guys want to get a match from here, or do you want? Because we're getting someone over here.
What's going on?
Do you guys want the mirror, or do you guys want a different match from stream?
Are the pairings up?
Yeah.
Well, what's the other match? The other EXO. Are there any EXOs?
No.
Okay. You guys can have the feature match. That's cool.
Well, we're just gonna.
Oh, you guys are just gonna draw. All right. Here, let me just look at the pairings real quick.
Load against miracles. Death taxes against you.
Perfectly fine because I also went 2 back over.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick that up.
You like the bag still? Oh, cool. That works out there. You pay 3 total to exile.
Yeah, I can actually
What's up?
If you guys just want to play for funsies,
yeah, any yard. As long as she's done the ability. As long as she's off her ability 3 times.
We're just playing for fun. You might get some minutes.
Yeah, because like all the other matches are already going on.
Yeah, I have my blue.
Oh, you do? Okay.
I have a techie vintage list right now. I might want to just keep that a little secret.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yeah.
Too hot?
It is pretty hot.
Yeah.
Well, here, let me. I got a live mic here. Let me.
You might say it comes from New Jersey. Or New Jersey.
Let me go ahead and Sarah, are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, how you doing, Sarah? Sorry to talk over you for like 20 minutes while we did the deck tech there.
That's fine.
Do you have
Alright.
I have.
Let me update the overlay here.
It's a proxy. I'll tell you what it is when it comes to the other than that, I think we're good.
You stole my thunder. Sorry. This deck is really. Or else I would have. This deck is really good.
Are you guys playing Vintage?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like we're fine against Turbo Barber. But Allison was kind of rough. That's what happened here. Crazy match. Allison was like power 2.
So just quick update. So Mike and Paul are the only XOs currently, so they've agreed to ID. So we're going to be playing a game of Vintage instead.
Oh, are they playing Vintage? Like post board, you're fine. Yes, game 1. I think I got it.
One game, yeah.
He lost one game.
Oh my god, Jameson lasts so long.
Like post board.
Oh, I do have the volume up kind of loud. Okay, let me turn it down here.
What was this drawing? Why don't we think of a sneaky show version of Billy and I were trying to figure out.
It's not entirely dead, but you're
All right, I think I should just have your last name like tattooed on my hand or something.
SCH EFF ENA CKER.
Can I ask what you guys are playing, or do you want it to stay a mystery?
No, I mean I'm on full color. I'm on full color mentor.
On Ode.
I don't know.
Let's say I was a lot happier with the 6 than the 7.
You want the Mr. Kelly list still?
I can cast my creatures.
Or is this a Mr. Mercer list?
No, I don't have a Mercer list.
Matt has the most ridiculous oath list I've ever seen.
He's a very good deck builder. And what's crazy is that not only is he a good deck builder, like nobody else can make a deck. Like I've tried to play Mercer lists, and it's just the dude loves Storm so much, and I hate Storm so much. We're two diametrically opposed kinds of players.
You have the names crisscrossed again.
Oh my god, are you serious? I'm so used to doing it this way.
Then plays Oath, like show and tells in something, and then cast propaganda. And I'm like, what is this? It's just, it's insane. What is Lance going to do with that? I'm going to keep it.
Yep. Got it. Thank you guys. Thank you, Sarah.
You're welcome. Thanks, CM Terp.
CM Terp, my boy. So how you doing today, Sarah?
I'm okay. It's Friday, right? Yeah, it's
Friday
Friday. So. What?
Friday hype.
Oh yeah, I guess.
I'm very ready for this weekend. I'm gonna go home, go to sleep, wake up, and probably start drinking.
Oh, that sounds like fun. Jameson's getting me a really good deal on moats, so I'm excited. I'm gonna start filling out my Angel Stompy deck.
Oh, nice. How many moats do you run? Also,
4.
Everything's real.
Oh my goodness! I'm
Yeah.
not gonna touch it anymore then. Yeah, zero. 99.9% vintage.
119 card non-proxy finish.
Yeah. These are real Magic cards. Fish Ponder.
Yeah, shuffle that shit. Serves you right. Fish tips.
I just brainstorm, man.
So how many moats do you run in Angel Stompy, Sarah?
4.
4 moats?
Yeah.
I can't remember. Is that a world enchantment?
Yes, it is.
We still beat moats.
Oh, I wonder if M2G bot can't handle that subtype or that super type.
I knew that was a reason.
I guess we should have life totals.
It's 19.
Do you have a piece of paper in this right now?
I do not, unfortunately.
I was kind of hoping to see Jameson play so I could make fun of him while he was losing horribly.
Well, I think he was paired against Jason, but they're like both standing up right now. It's also really hilarious the size difference between the two of them. I like really want them to become like best friends and like have Jameson carry Jason around on his shoulders.
Is he like a midget?
Like a twins remake or a sequel.
Yes, the Magic Twins.
Weird. I can do world enchantments. Hmm.
That was pretty busted.
The Abyss. That's one of my favorite cards. A world enchantment. World enchantment means it's actually a super type from Legends that it supersedes the Legend rule in that there can only be one world enchantment in play, and when someone plays a new world enchantment, it destroys the old one. Or I'm sorry, the old one has to be sacrificed in a similar fashion to the old Legend rule.
I see.
But it's like timestamp, so the new world enchantment always supersedes the old.
Interesting.
And it's not named, so like you could have Moat, you could have like the Abyss out, and when I go to play Nether Void, then the Abyss needs to be sacrificed, regardless of its owner.
Huh. That's cool.
Yeah, I bought a bunch of revised duels for casual back when they were like $10, $15. Like I got a chop for 15. I got a vault for 25. I was just playing the casual deck.
What is it? 17, 18?
No, he's got. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, 18, 17.
That sounds about right.
Blue I have 4. So, 1 blue 4.
I'm trying to foil. I just got the Expedition strip mine, and I'm trying to find now the a foil Yogwell.
Nice. We're gonna bottom line. Okay. I really like the Expedition land, but if I was able to expedite my entire mana base.
Well, I mean, just specifically the Expedition strip mine.
Workshop. I'm not interested in. I'm not interested in Expedition cards because
the purist.
How sweet would the templating on Workshop have?
It would be great.
I'm getting my 4 moats for 700, and last time I checked,
that's a very good deal.
Yeah, last time I checked, they were going for like $350 each.
That's a very good deal. Like, I wish I had a moat for 1/4 of that price again. That's unfortunately, I don't know how to configure into Gbot to use cardboard prices. It does not like. I don't think it can do it.
I'll look it up the old-fashioned way. Search for it.
Do you remember when Legacy was
Okay, so on TCG, the median for moat is 303.
Yeah, see, I was gonna guess around 300.
Yeah.
So that's why, like, that deal on 4 is still incredibly good.
Yeah. I guess Jameson knows people who know people, and I guess that's cool.
He knows people that kills people?
Probably.
Yeah, what condition is that mode? It's probably going to be like pooped on. It's like below damaged.
Well, there's a near mint Italian moat for 221, but I can't read Italian.
Well, fortunately, the card is pretty easy to remember what it does.
Yeah, I know. I would rather have like a full Korean deck, but that's hard to find.
Well, you know the Italian cards are quite a bit cheaper than English when it comes to Legends.
Why?
They were printed more in Italy than they were here in the States.
Well, regardless, it's still a good deal, so.
Yeah.
I don't care. I just am excited to actually start getting real cards for my stupid deck that was all pasties, and
I really wanted you to beat Jameson, by the way, in your guys' feature match. Like,
dude,
so bad.
I was going to, but I just didn't draw anything. I had like Armageddons for days and nothing else.
Yeah, that was super unfortunate.
I had him. Oh my god, I was so mad. I wanted to punch him in the face.
We need to do we need to have a run back feature match.
Heck yes. And then I'll destroy him. Because I'm changing up the deck list too to incorporate Linvala and that one new Eldrazi dude for 3 mana that blinks stuff. I can't remember what he's called. I'm retarded.
Which card?
The 3 mana Eldrazi guy that for 3 mana you can blink something and it comes back.
Oh,
tapped.
Void Stalker?
No.
I don't know what I'm thinking
It's
of.
called. I mean, the first word in it is Eldrazi. I just can't remember what it's called. I want to say Eldrazi Exiler, but I know that's not right at all.
Yeah.
Some dumb. Eldrazi. Displacer. Eldrazi Displacer.
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. He's good. He's good in Angel Stompy.
That card is so good. I think Death and Taxes is starting to run 1 to 2 of.
Yeah.
Let's see what Paul names here. So while we've been diddly-dallying, there's been an intense hashtag vintage war going on here.
Oh, well.
Jace is still at 3.
How many
Because drawing
turns
cards is the best mode for him. Come on, Therapy Names Time Walk. That Yogwell. Oh, look how nice that is. This one shows the star foil. Yep, that's a Yogwell, confirmed. And there is the Black Lotus in Michael's graveyard. So that's basically game over.
Ride that to victory, like I beat Psychotalk by doing that. Because it's pro blue, they can't touch it. Sitting there counting like.
My sideboard is terrible. I don't really play blue decks, so.
So you just kind of YOLO?
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, like, this is good.
Yeah. Our legacy players, ready for this? So much awesomeness in this format.
What the hell is that?
Much.
Oh, is that? Oh, is that
Aegis of the Gods.
You get hexproof?
2/1 enchantment creature that makes it so you have
Which guy?
hexproof. So
Yeah.
things like Oath of Druids, Oath can't target you upon resolution of its trigger.
Oh, that guy.
Interesting.
Because Oath targets effect.
That is pretty cool. Yeah, so Paul's pointing out that, what is that card called?
Aegis of the Gods.
Aegis of the Gods is some hotness, specifically against Oath, but I'm sure that's probably also good against like Dredge and Storm, yeah. And it gives you, it's a 2/1 soldier guy that gives you hexproof, so.
There was another creature printed in Onslaught called True Believers.
Yes.
Does the same thing, but it's a 2/2.
It's double white.
It's double white.
Right.
So with this here, you can splash it in almost every Vintage deck because right now, white is the best support color besides your blue and black.
Right.
Gives you the best options. You have Swords, Kataki. The best card in Vintage right now, Mentor, or one of them anyway.
Yeah, that's actually that's a good point. That's why I like playing decks in Vintage right now that are at least Esper colored because they just have the most options. I feel.
I mean, realistically, any blue color wedge or 4-color wedge you pick, except for probably Bug, is viable right now. Like everything has options. Bant is really good. There's a really good. Bant Mentor list running around. It runs Sylvan Library. It runs Seeker the way, funnily enough, because you can attack with Seeker, trigger Prowess 1 or 2 times, gain 4 life, and then Sylvan Library, and keep drawing cards off Sylvan Library. So it's lots of just synergistic. Yeah, synergistic.
Synergistic management solutions. That's one of my favorite Cards Against Humanity cards. Yeah, I'm actually really excited to play some Vintage. I really wish there were more frequent events up here. What is it? Games and Stuff is planning on doing 4 Vintage events this year, I'm told.
Also, about running them. Also, whatever.
Oh, hold on. Let me.
Well, I hope Paul watches this and hears me say this. Paul, I am disappointed in you for not turn 1 winning without any lands. You should go jump off a bridge and commit seppuku and die. Or play Sudoku. Whichever one you would hate more.
Yeah.
If you want to start running.
Well, the problem is it's been kind of overlapping with events, and he doesn't post when he's doing an event until that week, and I'm like, oh man, I've had plans for 3 weeks. So
the next one is starting up. So if any of you guys on the stream do play Vintage, and it is 15 procs available. If anybody played Vintage back in the early 2000s. Late 90s, there used to be a store called Alternate Universe in Bluebell, Pennsylvania, where Mr. Nick Cost, now runs every major Vintage event in the world.
Right.
He used to run Vintage events there, and they are now up and running more Vintage events starting in that area, starting in February 20. So if you're in the Bluebell area and want to play some Vintage, go on the Mana Drain, look for the forum. There's a ton of things, and hopefully we can, like I said, if we're going to start going events with you, I know Calvin probably wouldn't have a problem with it. Just a lot of,
Yeah, we normally we would just make a long day out of it. We would go up that morning and come back that night.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and if we're going to Tails, the Coopersburg Diner is the champ. Yeah. The Coopersburg Diner. It's so great.
Oh yeah. I've been there.
So good.
Yeah. Well, Tales of Adventure is awesome.
Yeah. Shout out Caffrey. Shout out War Reenactment Caffrey.
Yeah, shout out to Tales of Adventures, guys. That's an awesome shop. If you're ever up there in Pennsylvania. And Caffrey's also a super nice guy too.
Which day is that? The Saturday of GPDC.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna do that,
and then
probably
do
Friday
and Sunday Vintage GPDC. Yeah. Calvin Sing on Saturday. So nerd weekend.
Yeehaw.
That is an auto shit. I don't like them 6-card lands. Yep. 6-handed.
Against
It's pretty borderline.
Professional opinion of Smash.
What?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna ship it.
Okay.
You're on the draw?
Yeah, that's not great.
Mm.
Yeah, that's a ship. I would ship that.
Yeah.
Alright, Matt, you play Bayonetta against me before.
Okay.
Then if you don't keep these in.
Oh, that's right. The new Smash Bros. Characters came out today. Or no, not today. This week.
I think my that right card should be abrupt decay.
Oh yeah, Gludge should definitely be decay.
I doubt that.
So let's just play it that way.
Didn't think you can fight my fountain in another world. Still lose.
Is Containment Priest still seeing a lot of play?
That's why it needs to be abrupt.
Yeah. See.
That's why it needs to be upgraded to abrupt decay.
So I played Dredge as like one of my main decks in Vintage.
Oh man, same here.
Yeah, I love the engine. It's just so good.
It is good. Japanese stuff. I'm like 10 cards.
It depends because I have some.
Less than 10 cards in Japanese.
What do you?
Wants to buy a Dredge deck because I have basically all the cards but Bizarre, because I foiled it out.
Oh, I see. Maybe I don't know. I can put the word out.
Yeah, I need Japanese Narcomoebas.
Don't have those.
And Japanese Serenities. And like a couple
Also don't have those.
Barbarian.
I need one more Serenity, and I have 0 Japanese Barbarian rings. That card's awesome. That card is so awesome.
I guess I can.
Scry guy. Guess that's better than before.
Oh, I get to describe it.
Teamwork. Together we can beat Paul Lynch.
I mean, if he doesn't win turn 1, then he should just stop playing Magic forever.
That's pretty hardcore. Ultimate Magic the Gathering. You lose, then you quit the game.
There will be no Iron Man magic.
Yeah.
Where if you lost, you randomly got to rip a card of theirs up. Or you had to rip a card of yours up.
Yeah.
Iron Man was...
People would play Moxes in their Iron Man decks. Yes. They were getting saved.
Yeah. What was it? Gorilla Shaman was the best card of the format. Yeah. It's like, you would play Gorilla Shaman, and your opponent would concede. We used to do something similar, except you got to draw them.
I do have Bazaar's. I have Bazaar's Power and minus Time Twister and Shops.
Yep.
I love Vintage.
I can't wait to get back to Maryland and actually start playing Magic, like, for real.
Hype. Where are you, if I could ask? Are you
Hawaii.
not home? What? You're in Hawaii and you're complaining?
Yeah, you should try living here for 3 years. It kind of sucks a lot of butt.
Oh, I know for a fact that it's a fun place to visit and a sucky place to live. Because I've had friends that grew up there and told me the exact same thing.
Yeah, like Jameson, he lived here for a long time as well, and, you know, he decided to be a butt and leave early, and now he's like, oh, I miss you. But, yeah, I don't really, like, play Magic here because there's not a big Magic scene. It's all about Standard. I don't play Standard.
Yeah, I was just going to say the shop that I know of is just, like, not eternal at all. Which is unfortunate.
I know one is starting to put modern tournaments, but it's at like a very inconvenient time and a very inconvenient location. So I can't even go to that.
K-Winet asks, are you going to the regionals tomorrow? I guess Kenny's probably asking me. I'm not, because I'm not to poop on Modern. It's not my favorite format. I'm not that well experienced in it. Like, I played Storm since its inception, and you can kind of get a gist of why I don't play anymore. And it's... I have a lot of, like, real-life stuff I gotta do tomorrow, too. I gotta work on my car. And I gotta clean up around the house, so unfortunately, adult mode is kicking in.
I don't know. Boggle's pretty fun to play. I like playing Boggle.
That deck, man, I know quite a few people that love the crap out of that deck.
Boggle?
Yeah, I think if I do have to play, I'm probably on Gridge brand. I've been on that deck since Bob first told me to pick up Nourishing Shoals. And by the way, if Bob ever tells you to pick up a card, you go out and buy 4 of them, without question.
I don't know who Bob is.
Bob Huang?
I'll listen to this Bob person. I don't know who they are.
Just trust us.
Okay. I'll go buy 4 of whatever Bob says.
Yeah, I can't actually say what he wants people to buy right now, unfortunately. But there is something that's on our radar. Is all I can say. All I can say is keep your eyes peeled for the Philly Open.
Okay.
There's going to be some hotness. Legacy champ Bob Huang.
I would say Modern is fun and less fun as Legacy. I'd say that's a pretty true statement. But I really like playing Boggle.
I can definitely see you like playing Fairy Stompy. I can definitely see you playing Boggles.
I like playing Angel Stompy, not Fairy Stompy.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah.
That
I played my Boggle deck against Jameson when I was there, and I think I accidentally left out 4 or 5 cards and still was able to beat his ass or beat his butt, and it was funny. And that's why I like Boggle, and why Angel Stompy makes me mad sometimes, because of the inconsistency.
Oh, speaking of which, Philly's book for Did you
book us up another one of those really cheap hotels?
I didn't.
Because I got super sick last time from that hotel. Yeah, that's the reason I left.
Oh wow.
Because I was super sick. I was fine. I went into the hotel and I got super sick. Yeah. So yeah, that Red Roof Inn, because I'm really susceptible to cigarette smoke and all that. Yeah. God, I don't even know what to get.
This is the part where I just go, whenever I play Vintage.
I mean, it's
Are you still on the
Gifts. Yeah.
Gifts list?
I swear, dude, it's on. You will wish you had left fun when you play Gifts Ungiven with a Jace Vryn's Prodigy on the table. It is the best feeling in the world, man. Because it's just pure gasoline. Doesn't even matter what you get. It's just gasoline. Sometimes you kill them on the spot. Sometimes you just get to draw 7 cards, and it's just
Definitely had a game at Vintage Champs this year where I was playing that list against Oath, and he has Brand, but he's at 6 life, so he can't draw cards.
Yeah.
And I'm able to Tinker, Flip Chase, Tinker, and Bolt Key. It was ridiculous.
Yeah, it's just crazy that you can just easily play your Tinker twice, and you can even assemble Vault Key with just Tinker, which is so awesome. But yeah, no, I top 16 Eternal weekend in top 32 champs. So I feel like the deck's pretty good. The only thing I'm concerned is the Jeskai decks. I think just kind of outclass it in terms of card value. They're not worried about having a combo kill. They're just here's Mentor in 14 spells, and I'm just yeah, okay, can't beat it.
Who did Paul's Force of Will Altars?
Paul, who did your Force of Will Altars? Who did your Force of Will Altars?
Oh god, I can't even think of her name. She used to date Rankowitz.
You dated Rankowitz. Anne Marie? Hannah Marie.
This is GP Providence, 2000. Yeah, 2009.
Back in the day.
Yeah, way back.
It is pretty nice.
Yeah. Oh wow. That's awesome.
Dude, if I can win this game, it would be like the comeback of the century.
Yeah. It's like anytime someone misdirects my ancestral recall, I'm like, oh, well, it's just game over. Yeah.
And he has Jace. Whatever.
That's just gonna make your victory that much sweeter when you get it. You got it. You got to look at the bright side. What are life points right now?
What's my life point?
I have you at 14, but. Oh, is this only one activation?
Oh, you fetched. Yeah. 14. Yeah.
Okay.
14.
Weston. Weston says Bobby ruined the term gasoline. What's going on, Weston? How you doing, brother? Yeah, this is the thing about vintage is like, so I was explaining that like, playing and taking other formats very seriously.
What? I had a fetch land. No way, I only have 2 lands in play and you gush. I time walk.
Yeah, he did time walk. That is true. But yeah, this is where like, so I used to play a lot of EDH and I stopped because I got kind of tired of the format. It wasn't competitive enough for me. Because the format kind of like frowns upon competitiveness. So I started focusing on more competitive formats and realized that all of my experience I played in EDH actually translated almost directly into Vintage because the board states get equally complex and equally like they require perfect mana management and perfect sequencing. And like all my years in EDH kind of really helped translate directly. So if you guys play EDH, you should definitely look into starting like a vintage group because it's a lot of fun.
EDH discourages competitiveness?
Well, I say that with like a light undertone. It's very meta dependent.
Okay. Yeah, people who play EDH in Hawaii are kind of like super douchey.
Yeah, that's the other thing too.
Like,
I hate the closed net communities where they're like, "Oh no, you can't play land destruction. You can't play permission. That's not fun." Like, all right, I'm gonna
no,
go
like everyone only plays permission, and it's like, okay, well I'm gonna untap all my lands during
everyone
everyone
plays
else's
blue green
turn,
X, and so they can ramp, they can have permission, and then they get to play all their spells.
Yeah, it's really freaking annoying. The only reason I ever like get to win in EDH is when I wear a low cut shirt and act like I'm a retard and don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And it works a lot.
All right. Well, they just announced standings, so I figure we're probably gonna wrap it up for tonight.
Can you make Jameson go on the camera like super fast?
What do you want me to have him do?
Just say hi, so I can fake punch him in the face.
Oh, Jameson. Jameson, you're getting a request to put your beautiful mug on the camera.
From my fiance?
Yes. No, some like large man.
Some sweaty virgin guy. He's probably Asian.
Yeah. Oh my God! Watching him crawl all over Billy.
Billy.
Oh, fucking Paul. I'm sorry, Paul. Like, that was just, I wish I had a picture of that moment.
They basically look the same.
I'm sorry, Paul.
There he is.
Yeah, and then I called Billy Rudy earlier today.
Oh, that's awful.
Or no,
Why
wait,
would
no,
you do
I
that?
called Rudy Billy.
Oh, that's better.
So wait, I just can't stop thinking about Billy. I'm okay with this. I'm okay with this.
Don't ever like call anyone Rudy. That's just so mean.
You might say it's Rudy.
I hate you.
Out.
On that note, I'm gonna leave. But thanks for letting me come in here.
Okay, yeah. Sorry we didn't have a real game for you to commentate,
No,
Sarah.
it's
But next time we'll get a live game for you.
Okay, I don't really know anything anyway, so I would just say things.
It's definitely cool to have another person to just bounce, talk back and forth with. So I definitely appreciate you staying on for that.
Yeah, no problem.
Oh, I got a B minus. It's good. It's good.
What
I was
did I
passing
get?
grade. All right, Sarah. Have a good night.
Okay, bye.
Bye-bye. All right. All right, I'm going to go ahead and close this out, you guys. Thanks so much for hanging out and staying with us on your Friday night. I had quite a bit of fun, or for your Saturday morning for you other guys ahead of our timeline. Filthy casuals.
We're gonna try.
What's that? 4 in black border, duels, and unlimited power. What a nub. Ooh. I'm gonna have to tell Paul that. That's daggers. But yeah, guys, thanks so much for hanging out with us tonight. It was really cool. I really like the deck that we got to showcase. I'm gonna be definitely keeping an eye on it. Keep your eyes out for it at Philly. I know a ton of people rocking some hotness this weekend. So shout out to our Star City bros that are going to be hosting that. I'll be playing in that event too, so hopefully if I crush a bunch of people, they might put my hot deck on stream. I don't know, we'll see. So yeah, make sure to follow if you guys haven't already down below. Our schedule is also down there too. We stream every Tuesday, Wednesday, and most Fridays. This night is the toughest night for me to actually come out here and stream, but I love doing it and I love hanging out with you guys, so I'm going to try to do it as much as I can. Events coming up. Thanks for the follows. Rogue below 71. Yeah, so upcoming events, I'm going to be preoccupied for the next couple weekends because, let's see, there's the Philly Open, there's MagFest. So yeah, by the way, if any of you guys are going out to MagFest, definitely let me know and say hi because I'm going to be partying pretty hard that whole weekend. We can definitely hang. Yeah, I did just shout out SCG, man. They're like literally the reason why I did this stream or inspired me to get into streaming because I missed their awesome Legacy coverage, dude. Like I miss their awesome Sundays of just like covering a Legacy Open every Sunday. I should just be able to count on it. And Patrick Sullivan and Cedric Phillips are amazing commentators. Like literally inspired me to do what I'm doing right now. So yeah, definitely shout outs to them. Anyway, let's see what else. Yeah, we have links to our Facebook below where I commentate stuff. I'm probably going to be polling. Like, I want to get a feel of what you guys want to see in terms of content. I'm currently, we're looking to maybe do some sponsorships with some shops. I need to get an idea. I'm actually probably going to need some support because I need to figure out what we want to do next. Like I want to like keep pushing the quality of the stream as far as I can go. So I'm likely going to need to poll some people to get an idea of what everyone wants in terms of content. So definitely follow us on Facebook and Twitter because I'm going to be putting polls out for you guys. Just some short questions that I'll just get an idea of interest. Like, if you guys want to see Pauper, if you guys want to see Vintage, if you guys want to see Modern. So I know what to focus on next. All right, holy crap. I'm like the king of rambling. I'm going to just go ahead and sign us out, you guys. Thank you so much. It's really cool hanging out with everybody here. And I will catch you next time.